Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Fantasy. Sign in for 1,000 years at the start. Chapter 21. More than 300, nearly 400 years ago. Song Wudao's voice sounded, making Ji Yu Kaixuan stunned. When did you still learn to joke? Ji Yu Kaixuan giggled, probably because of the reason she just cried. She is now smiling very happily. Song Wudao slightly turned his head to her side. I'm not kidding. He looked calm and serious when he said it. He was telling the truth, and he built the foundation at that time. But if Ji Yu Kaixuan definitely didn't believe it, he didn't really care. As for the explanation, it was too troublesome to explain, and he didn't intend to explain. Seeing Song Wudao's expression, Ji Yu Kaixuan laughed again, happier than before. If you built the foundation more than 300 years ago, then I am a strong Dongshuan now. She joked. Song Wudao nodded, and said blankly, well, just like me, I'm also in the cave profound realm now. The smile that Ji Yu Kaixuan had just noticed suddenly increased again, and the cast room was full of her silver bells of sweet laughter. In fact, this is also the truth, it really can't be true anymore. After Song Wudao stepped into the gold core realm, he immediately fell into a long-term cultivation, and he didn't know the years of cultivation. In a blink of an eye, nearly 300 years later, he accidentally broke through from the gold core to the cave profound realm. Although this was just an unintentional behavior, if it was really known to outsiders, it is estimated that this is another feat that makes others hate it. It's just a pity that although the gold core realm has the effect of transforming the body, it has not been able to repair the crippling disease of his eyes. This is really a pity. The moment he entered the gold core, he felt full of joy that his body, whether it was the old scars accidentally left when he was a child, or the slight wounds that the knife gas accidentally caused to the meridians during the knife practice, healed immediately or metamorphosis. But only his eyes were silent. Even after the whole body was transformed at that time, all the remaining transformative power poured into his eyes at once, but it still didn't bring any changes. It's as if these forces are powerless. At that time, feeling the power of the whole body's transformation, the clay cow entered the sea, and it was Song Wudao's temperament that had been polished after years of solitary practice, and couldn't help but suffocate a depressed air. But he was not frustrated by this. With the system in hand, he is confident that he will go far enough on the road in the future, and believe that he will be able to solve all problems by then. What's more, the next level of the Dong Profound Realm, the Heavenly Pass, will also have a chance to transform the body. The result at that time is yet to be known. So how can he give up easily? It is said that the disabled person is cursed by the heavens, and is a lifelong disease that cannot be cured. But if the heavens really hinder him, then he will answer with cultivation. If the gold core level is not enough, then he will cultivate to the Heavenly Pass. If the Heavenly Pass is not enough, then he will transcend the Heavenly Pass and show it to God. He didn't believe that the eye disease in his body that had troubled him for 2 lifetimes would always follow him and could not be cured. Dong Profound Realm. The more you talk, the more ridiculous. Ji Yu Kaixuan continued on what Song Wudao had just said. In her opinion, this is certainly not true. A natural disabled person with a bad talent is already lucky to be able to foundation building, so how can he be able to cultivate to Dongshuan? What's more, the self, who is hailed as a genius by everyone, has only reached the gold core realm since cultivation, and there is an unusually long distance from Dongshuan. Where did Song Wudao's talents come from? Now he ranks among the realm of Dongshuan. So it could only be Song Wudao making him laugh. After all, he was very sad just now. Ji Yu Kaixuan's heart warmed. She was a truly trustworthy friend. All right. Tell you a business matter. Ji Yu Kaixuan said. Qin Fengtu leaned toward her slightly, seeming to be watching her, so Ji Yu Kaixuan continued. I am now the contemporary sect leader of our Tianhe sect. After speaking, Ji Yu Kaixuan stared at Song Wudao with big eyes, expecting what he would do. What will he look like? Shocked to stunned, and then respectfully want to salute himself. Or complimenting yourself with joy, or not believing it alive or dead. She was looking forward to Song Wudao's exaggeration. This must be fun. He didn't want Song Wudao to be too exaggerated, just to be really happy for himself. This means that Song Wudao cares more about himself than the position of sect leader. However, if Song Wudao is exaggerated, she can understand it very well. After all, the position of a sect leader in the Tianhe sect is much more important than a simple Dong profound realm powerhouse, and it is much more majestic. So Song Wudao was quite normal even if he was surprised. However, under her attention, Song Wudao behaved very differently from what she thought. Oh, is it? Song Wudaoyun said lightly. Ji Yu Kaishuan straightened the color, and then said. This is the truth, I didn't lie to you. Song Wudao understood that the other party would be wrong, thinking he didn't believe it, so he nodded and explained. I know, you were originally the first genius in sect. After nearly 300 years, it is not unusual for you to become the leader of sect. Ji Yu Kaishuan was even more puzzled. Then, why are you doing this? It's like facing a little thing, she said. Because I am a strong man in the profound cavern realm. Song Wudao said with a little smile and a little innocent. Puff. Ji Yu Kaishuan laughed, and at the same time a warm current called touching flowed into her heart. Having such a friend is worth having thousands of ordinary friends. Besides, the reason why I became friends with you is because of your character, not because of your identity. How about sect's first genius? What about a sect leader? But it's all human. People's hearts are complicated. If you are a person of bad character and lack of morality, I will not do it if you rush to be friends with me. Otherwise it will only cause trouble. Song Wudao had a rare trace of arrogance on his face. A good man is in the world. If he doesn't even understand this, then he is really blinded by the warm and cold feelings he has experienced for 2 lives. Looking at the arrogance on Song Wudao's face, Ji Yu Kaishuan inexplicably felt that this kind of pride was not annoying, but made people want to be closer. Okay, say you are fat and you are still breathing. Ji Yu Kaishuan said in her mouth, but she was very happy in her heart. Song Wudao smiled helplessly. It seems that Ji Yu Kaishuan still doesn't believe that she is in the profound cavern realm, but there is no need to explain clearly. Next, Ji Yu Kaishuan chatted with him about the process of becoming a sect leader. The reason why I was able to be the sect leader of the Heavenly River sect is thanks to the Sword Sage Senior. I'll tell you. Ji Yu Kaishuan's eyes flashed lightly, looking forward to it. It's a pity that Song Wudao couldn't see it, but through her tone, Song Wudao could easily discover the existence of this emotion. The Sword Saint Senior is too powerful. Even if the closed-door training is so long, after leaving the customs for a period of time, I will discover a secret that no one in sect has discovered. If it weren't for the last ancestor to take the initiative and kill the enchanted Qian father and son, the Tianhe sect would probably bury the greatest disaster in history. The consequences could be disastrous. Sect's destruction is not impossible. Quote. Along the way, this is the second time I have been blessed by the Sword Saint Senior, the first time I am rescued by the ambush, and the second time because of the Senior's action, I can become the sect leader of the Tianhe sect. You said, am I very close to Senior? Song Wudao coughed dryly, rarely feeling embarrassed. Ji Yu Kaishuan didn't know, the Senior's sword in her mouth was right in front of her, watching her flatter herself. Destined. Song Wudao nodded affirmatively. Sitting with your Senior swordsman, and be friends for hundreds of years, how could it not be possible? Destined, so destined. Really, hearing Song Wudao's affirmation, although she felt that this was just an agreement to her and not a fact, she was still very happy. I really hope to see Seniors when I will be able to do so, thank you very much. I don't know what Senior is like now. Although there is a portrait of the Sword Saint Senior closed-door training in sect, according to the person who saw the Senior's vague figure when beheading the same words, the figure and clothing of the Senior have changed a lot from before the closed-door training. As a result, she can't be sure of Senior's appearance now. But it must be handsome. Ji Yu Kaishuan said. Song Wudao touched his head silently. He was probably handsome, he didn't know what he looked like. On the other side, Ji Yu Kaishuan saw Qin Feng touching her head. What are you doing with your head? She asked curiously. Suddenly a lightning bolt flashed through her mind, reminiscent of Song Wudao's realm breakthrough, she suddenly asked. Could it be, your realm breakthrough this time is related to the Sword Saint Senior? In Ji Yu Kaishuan's view, it is mainly because Song Wudao made his realm breakthrough too smoothly. Now Song Wudao's appearance hasn't changed much from when she left. This shows that Song Wudao has also practiced smoothly over the years. If this is the case, it is because he met the Knife Saint Senior, and then it is impossible to get anything because of this. Senior, there has always been no set rules for doing things. It's normal for Dao Sheng to help out when he saw Song Wudao's firm heart to Dao. What's more, it is also very close to the place of closed-door training. Song Wudao was taken aback for a moment. How did Ji Kaixuan think of this place? Too keen, a woman's sixth sense. He opened his mouth and nodded, ready to tell the truth. Really? Ji Kaixuan asked unexpectedly. At this time, the two suddenly felt an unfamiliar Daoyun aura flying over. Sect secret letter, Ji Kaixuan said. She took the item wrapped in the atmosphere of the strange Taoist rhyme at will. It was a letter made of special paper. She typed out a tactic, and then the handwriting appeared on the letter. After reading it, Ji Kaixuan's face changed. I have something to leave, Song Wudao. If I have time in a while, I will come back to talk to you. After speaking, after seeing Song Wudao nodding, she walked out of the casting room, flew away, and quickly disappeared. What happened to Sect again? It doesn't look small. The power of the soul followed closely behind Ji Kaixuan, and went to the place where Sect was discussing with her. Soon after, many important figures from the Tianhe sect arrived in a richly decorated building. Even Penalty Elder, who has rarely been in charge, attended the meeting. Greetings sounded from the building. Sect leader is good. Sect leader is good. Ji Kaixuan met with each elder, and then she found the figure of elder in sect, and asked. Second elder, everyone is gathered now. If something big happens, you can talk about it. Okay, the second elder said with a sad look, and after patrolling the crowd. This matter is related to Qi Yan. Together, hearing Qi Yan's name, other elders' voices increased. Since Qi Yan died 280 years ago, this name has become a special word. If it is not necessary, no one wants to mention the Qi Yan father and son back then. It's as if the two are ashamed that the Tianhe sect can't wash away. At this time, Qi Yan's name appeared, and it naturally attracted everyone's attention, especially when the things to be said were related to it. Could it be that Qi Yan still has any legacy left? In the past, Qi Yan died at the hands of the Sword Sage Senior. No one knows except for the sect seniors like us, Elder, you can rest assured. Someone in Elder said, causing an agreement. Hey, second elder let out a sigh at this moment. This matter needs to start with Qi Yan. At the beginning, after Qi Yan died, we searched sect for everything about Qi Yan and his son, but we didn't find out what their main purpose was in sect. They seemed to have no other plan besides becoming sect leader. However, recently in the eastern wasteland, Xiongzong stumbled upon a group of people imprisoned by demonic formation. These people are all celestial beings who were specially prepared by the demons for sacrifice. When Ziyang sect discovered them, most of these people had already died because of their longevity. Ji Kaixuan wondered, what does this have to do with the next thing? The second elder's voice sounded again. However, two of them survived unharmed. Afterwards, based on the confession of these two men, the evil demon who imprisoned them was exactly what we said. All elder took a deep breath, with an angry expression. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? The evil spirits said in unison, they are not superficial, and they will not let us go if they die. Their father and son are killed. Ji Kaixuan frowned. Her words and actions were extremely secretive at first, and even the people of sect were easily deceived. If it were not for the Sword Saint Senior, the Tianhe sect would have been deceived. Why did this happen today after 280 years come out? The crowd was so angry that Elder was punished with his hands out of his arms and held him in vain. Everyone, listen to Elder. After a while, everyone was quiet, and the second elder continued. But things don't stop there. Ziyang sect heard that it was the same, and they couldn't believe it. After many verifications, they finally determined that it was indeed the same. After that, they seemed to be very angry, and gathered several other super-grade forces to form a righteous alliance. Everyone looked at second elder, and the next words of second elder shocked them. They want to attack my Tianhe sect recently. Boom. Among the people in the building, the sound of tapping the table suddenly sounded. 5 elders snapped. Why? He wants to talk together when he comes to us, and he says he wants to bully us. After 2 elders' explanations, everyone understood that at this time, because Qi Yan's identity as an evil demon was exposed, Several super great forces had begun to ask them to hand over Qi Yan this person, otherwise they would have to force the palace. However, now Qi Yan has long since died, and his body is rotten. Where can we find another Qi Yan for him? Many elders are clamoring and feel upset about this. Jiyu Kaixuan was caught in the middle and didn't know what to do. After all, she was still young, and sometimes she couldn't control the scene when facing a group of elders who were above her in both realm and experience. Quiet, Punishment Elder raised his hand, and everyone gradually calmed down. He glanced at everyone, full of majesty. Nearly 300 years have passed. Penalty Elder's appearance has become older, but there is deeper wisdom in his eyes. Don't you see it yet? As soon as this remark came out, some elder showed a suddenly realized expression. These people have no shallow experience, and some have a thorough understanding. Sect has long released the news of Qi Yan's disappearance, but this time they are still forcing us. This is clearly because the drunkard's intention is not to drink. Everyone understood. Jiyu Kaixuan also understood, and Elder's explanation of punishment continued. The decline of sect in the past few hundred years is a foregone conclusion. It's hard to hide this kind of thing. Every family and faction must have known it a little earlier. And over the years, the development of other sects is the opposite of our Tianhe sect. When real people come out in large numbers, Tianzhao rises. He seemed to sigh. Their strength has become stronger. So some people's eyes started to turn red. And the exposure of Qi Yan's identity this time just gave them a name, giving them a reason to be able to live on face, and come to us. Many elder faces were sad, and they were not surprised at what the Punishment Elder said. Since ancient times, the major super product forces have been fighting constantly. Mingli and the sects are the cultivators who dominate the world. In the eyes of the small sects of all parties, the relationship seems to be good. Together we create the appearance that this world should be ruled by us. But secretly, because of the entanglement of interests, they have rarely fought for a single minute. This time, super product forces united and threatened them with the excuse of surrendering together. It was because they knew that Qi Yan might have been dealt with by them. At that time, as long as the Tianhe sect did not hand over the unanimous words on the spot, they would have many excuses to embarrass them. And if it is handed over, it can also fall into the name of Tianhe sect. After all, the name of sect, the number one righteous way, is still in the body of Tianhe sect. Imagine how these forces can't do such a move that kills two birds with one stone. Jiyu Kaixuan's face is as sinking as water. This is the biggest crisis since she became the sect leader. If the response is not good this time, then the destruction of sect will not be far away. These people can come once, but they can come a second time. Some people sighed that the old sect leader died 280 years ago because of the master of the Salvation faction, and sect thus started the path of decline. 280 years later, these sects did not care about the kindness at the time, and now they are forced to follow their sects. Thinking of these, unspeakable resentment filled their chests. However, Jiyu Kaixuan was commendably still a little sober, and she asked in her heart. Second Elder, what is the attitude of the various forces towards us this time? Penalty Elder nodded secretly when he saw the content of Jiyu Kaixuan's question, showing a gratified smile. It's not bad to be able to maintain enough sense at this moment to perceive the key to the matter. When Jiyu Kaixuan realm grows more, he can safely leave sect to her to manage. Two Elder heard the words and replied. According to the sect spy's report, the 5 sects participating in the Right Path Alliance this time can be divided into 3 categories. The first category belongs to the Tianxin Tower and Jingshu Immortal Gate. They don't plan to participate deeply. They probably won't send Dongshuan strong people to participate. The second category is Fei Xian Jianzhe, they are currently undecided. The third type is the Ziyang sect. They have been entangled with our Tianhe sect for a long time. Seeing us desolate this time, they might beat the dog. 2. Elder reluctantly said his own conjecture. This time, the peerless powerhouse in the Celestial Pass in their door is very likely to come. The voice fell, causing 1,000 waves for a while. They don't want to die. Heavenly Pass. I'm not afraid of evil spirits coming out. Hearing this, even the Penalty Elder was taken aback. Is this news accurate? He asked the second Elder. 60% up. There was a sound of inhalation in the room, 60% upwards. This sentence was in Erder's mouth, meaning that at least 70%. This time I am afraid it will be hard to be good. The Tianhe sect does not hurt the bones, and it will definitely not be able to survive this disaster. Master, please ancestors, Gu Kaishuan said. Penalty Elder nodded with an ugly expression. This is the only way. It's just that in recent years, neither the Nine Nether Portal nor the Locked Demon Array has been peaceful. I don't know if the ancestors still have the energy to deal with matters in the door. Why don't you ask the Knife Saint Senior? Someone suggested. Dao Sage, the peerless powerhouse of the Tianhe sect who used to be a powerful man, had broken into the Heavenly Pass before the closed-door training. This time he left the pass, I don't know where he has reached. If the saint can make a move, then presumably the danger this time will be solved. And in the last few hundred years, the Sword Sage has also had 2 shots, so it is very hopeful to invite the Sword Sage. Maybe it's possible, but, Penalty Elder said, he was a little uncertain about this. Gu Kaishuan was also meditating, and she had some secrets. She only learned about it after she became the sect leader of the Tianhe sect. In this world, no matter which force's cultivator is, as long as they enter the mirror of heaven, they will bear a corresponding pressure, making everyone who enters this realm not in a good situation. However, this time the opponent came in mighty, they could only make the best move. You can only do this. Everyone sighed, and then turned their eyes to Gu Kaishuan. At this time, only Gu Kaishuan, the sect leader, can invite. Gu Kaishuan inherited sect's destiny. When the ancestors saw her, they would naturally understand her identity. Then she can state the matter to the ancestor and make a request. Otherwise, it would be difficult for anyone else to prove his identity in front of the ancestors. Trouble sect leader. The crowd saluted. Gu Kaishuan replied, everyone has worked hard too. After that, Gu Kaishuan flew to Lianbing Mountain under the attention of everyone. This time, she was not going to talk to Song Wudao, but was going to invite Sword Sage Senior out of the mountain. In the casting chamber, Song Wudao withdrew the power of the soul. Just now Divine Soul followed Gu Kaishuan into sect's discussion area, which was equivalent to him being there to listen in. The 5 super-grade forces were about to come to persecute things, and he naturally understood clearly. Now his face was calm, but there was a wave in his heart. With life experience as an ordinary person, he could tell at a glance that what these people are fighting for is nothing more than profit. After all, there are some things that even these super sects are not exempt. The struggle between these sects looks no different from the ordinary. Qing Yan is just a fuse, as long as sect declines, this kind of thing will happen sooner or later. Compared with Devil Dao, the major forces are just different in their cultivation methods. Song Wudao shook his head, feeling a little disappointed. At the edge of the range of Lianbing Mountain, Gu Kaishuan returned with her sword. After staring at this area for a while, she headed to the back mountain forbidden area of Lianbing Mountain. In the distance, the Punishment Elder and other important figures of sect watched the situation here through the power of the soul. As Gu Kaishuan approached the forbidden area behind the Lianbing Mountain, their expressions gradually became solemn, and even their breathing slowed slightly by 2 minutes. It's about sect's life and death, no one is immobile. However, this time they are destined to be unable to get a response. Song Wudao said after seeing everyone's performance. More than 300 years ago, Song Wudao entered the back mountain forbidden area of Lianbing Mountain. At that time, he not only signed in and obtained the sword technique. It even beheaded a huge bone snake, passed the test of the sword saint, and obtained the inheritance and knife tools of the saint. And because of this, he learned that the Saint of Sword, this man of the era. It has fallen years ago. In the past few hundred years, the traces of the saint's shots they noticed were all caused by misunderstanding of his actions. On the forbidden area, Gu Kaishuan had already arrived at the door. She solemnly saluted, and was very thorough, and then she respectfully shouted at the ancient Forbidden Land portal. Gu Kaishuan, the 39th sect leader in Shadianazong. Now sect is declining, and due to changes, the 5 super quality sects have grasped the handle, and will soon be forced to come. At that time, it is very likely that there will be peerless powers in the Heavenly Pass, and sect is unstoppable. Also ask the ancestors to come forward and protect me from Tianhe sect. Gu Kaishuan stood quietly, bowing her head in a salute posture. After a long while, as if a long time passed, there was still no sound from within the forbidden area. A gust of wind blows by, and it seems that the place is particularly quiet. At the place where sect was discussing matters, the elders were also silent. The Sword Saint Senior did not respond. Someone murmured, "How come, although the Sword Saint Senior is happy and quiet, he has hardly rejected the sect matter?" "It shouldn't be so," second elder said. Other people in the field also started to talk, obviously they think so too. "Okay," punishment elder said, seeming to sigh. "The Sword Saint Senior should be busy with important things, so I can't respond. If Senior is really ruthless and unrighteous, he won't save sect in the first few times. Senior has a heavy task, so let's not be greedy and ask Senior to take action. Sect has other ancestors." Punishment elder said yes. Everyone replied, and the scene gradually calmed down. "Master, I want to try again." Ji Kaishuan received the news that she should go back to discuss the matter again. After hearing this, Ji Kaishuan did not return, but she spoke to the punishment elder. Before the forbidden ground, Ji Kaishuan pursed her lips, not knowing what she was thinking. Her eyes were reddish. She is still unwilling to give up seeking a sage of swordsmen, who is destined to her. This time it is very necessary to ask the saint to take a shot. In the depths of sect, the ancestors who guarded the 9 nether portal and the locking demon formation were exhausted because they were suppressed in 2 places all the year round. Only those who have come to see the mountains with ease in the past few hundred years and have played several times are the best candidates to deal with this crisis. What's more, the senior has not personally refused, and this request is not a failure. Junior Ji Kaishuan asked to see the senior side. Ji Kaishuan suddenly shouted, before bending down deeply, and bowing again. The sky changed from clear to dark, and a cloud floated over, blocking the sun. "Kai-zan, this kid, really, is too responsible," second elder said. "If you grow up like this, you will definitely become a good sect leader. It's just this matter, where is the Sword Saint Senior who is not willing to make a move, but can't make a move? Just go on like this, and it won't take a long time for the Sword Sage Senior to be invited." Many people in elders showed a look of loneliness, and they blamed them for being incapable of being elders, and could only let a little girl stand in front of them and work for themselves. On the other side, Song Wudao also sighed helplessly, and began to speak to Ji Kaishuan's spirit. "Don't wait, you can't wait for the Sword Sage Senior." Ji Kaishuan was stunned when she heard the words. This is the voice passed by Song Wudao on behalf of the Sword Sage Senior. Listening to Song Wudao's very positive tone, she felt that Song Wudao must know something. In addition, Song Wudao affirmed that own breakthrough realm had something to do with the Sword Saint. Ji Kaishuan felt that it was most likely that the Sword Saint Senior asked Song Wudao to do so. Knife Sage Senior is a noble person. No matter whether he saves or saves sect, he doesn't care whether his own name stays in the hearts of others and is known by others. By doing this now, I definitely don't want her to hear the truth and hurt her heart. I was abrupt. Ji Kaishuan replied to Song Wudao. Since Senior didn't want to know it, she had to leave it alone. Okay. Hearing Ji Kaishuan's answer so bluntly, Song Wudao was taken aback, but he saved it for what he originally wanted to explain to Ji Kaishuan. These words are the same. If sect really suffers from life and death, he will definitely not be able to stand by. And it is too much trouble to explain this matter clearly. So he directly said, "Don't worry, I will do it then." Don't. Ji Kaishuan refused with embarrassment. Sect must be masters at the time of the day. Don't mess around, it's easy to hurt your life. Hearing Ji Kaishuan's worried words, Song Wudao didn't say much, but said amusedly, "I won't be hurt." Hearing this, Ji Kaishuan persuaded Song Wudao again. In her opinion, Song Wudao was just helping her friends eagerly. In the end, she forced Song Wudao to agree and didn't take it lightly. Song Wudao, who had this intention, did not refuse. Then, Ji Kaishuan left and returned to the place where sect was discussing matters to continue discussing countermeasures. What is the existence of the heavenly pass? In the casting room, Song Wudao muttered to himself, as if to say something interesting. 5 days later, the sky over the Tianhe sect. A vortex of Dao Yun appeared out of thin air, and then the silver talisman light flickered, gathering in a formation. A group of figures exuding a powerful Dao rhyme appeared. They were like heavenly immortals, bowing their heads looking down at the situation in the Tianhe sect. Penalty Elder and others looked at him on the ground. Tianhe sect, hand over the evil spirit's words, otherwise you will look good today, said a middle-aged man with a cold appearance wearing a black mysterious suit. Then, an old, gray-looking woman with wrinkles on her face took the conversation. Tianhe sect, you are arrogantly the #1 righteous way in the world. Let an evil demon become a sect leader, you are not worthy of this important task. Another middle-aged Taoist came forward. Hurry up and hand over the same words, and let us search again to prevent evil spirits. Now there is still no movement. Are you really going to be the enemy of the righteous way of the world and protect the evil spirits? Between the verdant mountains, the shouts of several people in the sky spread throughout sect. Nonsense. What the hell are these aliens going to do? Chi sect leader has indeed been missing for 280 years. Is it true that what these people are saying is true? The disciples of Tianhe sect looked at the many sect elders flying into the sky. Some were angry, some were disgusted, and others were confused. At this time, the sect elders soared to a position opposite to the visitor. Penalty Elder spoke with anger on his face. Head of Zhang sect leader, you don't want to make an inch. As an evil demon, Qi Yan has long been discovered by my ancestor of the sword, killed in the mountains and wilds, and now there are no bones left. Where do you want us to find the same words for you? If you really want to explain, I won't stop you. You can go to my Zhongdaoshang to ask for someone. After all, Punishment Elder flicked his face and sleeves, majestic. Hearing the name of the Sword Saint, the expressions of the visitors changed. Although they have no shortage of masters in the cave profound realm, they are still too far away from the legendary character of the Saint. The gap between the two is like a stream and a vast sea. It can be reasonable. His expression was sluggish for a while, and the black-clothed middle-aged man with a cold face flowed over. He squinted his eyes, with a respectful taste. I naturally respect the Knife Saint Senior, but at this time, what is the truth? I also ask the Knife Saint Senior to testify, otherwise we will not give up. The peerless powerhouse in the Tianguan realm, it is not so easy to live in this world. He doesn't believe that there are now in the Tianhe sect. Penalty Elder's complexion remained unchanged, but he was already aware of something bad in his heart. He originally only wanted to use the knife to bluff a few people in the name of the Saint Senior, or at least delay it until Jiyu Kaishuan invited the ancestor to leave. But he didn't expect the other party to be so cunning and not fooled at all, so he had no choice but to hold on and say, "Hey, how can my ancestor be able to see you when you meet? You can go back here or wait here. When the ancestor promises to meet you, I will naturally let you in." Hearing this, the faces of the people on the other side who had just changed color gradually lost their smile. However, they are still not completely sure, and further verification is needed. As for how to verify, punishment, look at what you said, who knows if it's true or false. The name of the Knife Saint Senior can't bluff us. Now, our 5 super grade sects suspect that you will protect the evil spirits and hide him in your Tianhe sect. So for the safety of the people of the world, and also for your sect disciples, we must enter your Tianhe sect and search again. If you don't agree, then either show proof that Qi Yan is dead, or you can let us see the Saint Senior, and everything will come to light at that time. Among the people on the opposite side, the Taoist priest dressed up. Said the person. The opportunity is not to be missed, and the loss will not come again. How can they easily give up this time? Penalty Elder was secretly angry, and his heart was uncertain, but he still said in a deep voice. Everyone, the ancestor of the Sword Saint has not summoned you. You can't go in today. As for the search of the Tianhe sect, you need to get the consent of the ancestor of the sword. So, today Tianhe sect will not let you search. Originally, the Saint of Swordsmen was fake, and several people judged it. A few people smiled at the corners of their mouths, with sarcasm on their faces, but what they said had a sense of righteousness. Tianhe sect, since you can't produce evidence to prove your innocence, don't blame us for turning our faces and denying people. For the peace of the world's sects, for the lives of the people in the world. Today we must search your Tianhe sect. Superior. Behind a few people, among the 5 major forces of Elder, the Ziyang sect, Northern Dipper Gate, Feixian Sword Pavilion, Jingshu Immortal Gate, and Tianxin Tower, each of them stepped out and used mysterious methods to attack the Tianhe Zong Guard formation. Boom! The dull voice sounded between the heaven and the earth, and the brilliant attacks kept hitting the golden light of the Tianhe sect. The vitality is agitated, the rhyme of the Tao escapes, and the sky is surging. Tianhe sect elder raised the protective formation and fought hard to resist, but suddenly, their expressions changed. Dari Yao Parasol, Baikan Tiangui, Flying Immortal Sword. These 3 things are the treasures of the Junzong, and they are very powerful. Penalty Elder's heart sank, and as a result, Tianhe sect was in danger. Boom! The golden mask made a loud noise and began to shake violently. Sturdy formation. The punishment elder in the formation shouted. Fortunately, the treasures of the Junzong were too laborious to mobilize, and they took advantage of the gap to re-stabilize the formation. 2 elder, 3 elder, 20 elder. You can't let these people continue to attack, otherwise the battle will break through sooner or later. Have you brought all the magical items? Others are guarding sect in the formation. Bring you guys to come with me. Penalty elder took the lead to open the corner of the formation, jumped out, and the others filed out. Kill. The elders of the Tianhe sect rushed towards the 5 forces outside the formation, holding the sect heavy weapon in their hands, and playing the powerful Luguang Dao Ju, regardless of life and death. With golden light shrouded in his body, under the blessing of sect's large array, he fought against the opponent. The sky thunders, the sky fires constantly, and the roars appear from time to time, during which it is difficult to see all the figures. Devil Dao, Heavenly Slaughter Tower. Second elder angrily rushed into the crown. They are actually involved. During the fight, there was obviously a Dao Yun aura and moves that were different from the 5 major forces attacks, and the methods were particularly sinister. It's not who the 2 are. Second elder quickly told the rest of the Tianhe sect of this information, but even so, they still couldn't change their declining trend. There are too many opponents, and realm is very superb. Even if they hold pieces of sect-heavy equipment in hand, they still can't fight with the blessing of formation. The golden runes fluttered, the silver light beams collided fiercely, and the attack flew in pieces, which was gorgeous and unusual. Dao Yun's vitality formed a terrible chaotic vortex, and the sky and the earth changed. Everyone hold on, Kaishuan will soon invite her ancestors. Punishment elder vomited blood just after telling this comforting lie. And in the elder that the Tianhe sect attacked, there were already people who were the end of the battle. In a blink of an eye, 11 elder and 7 elder were seriously injured and all fell. On the other side, the formation was close to the ground, and the formation suddenly cracked a tiny gap, and then closed again. During this process, 2 hidden figures have sneaked into the space unknowingly. The auras of the 2 are superb and vast, but they are extremely ethereal and difficult to detect. But faintly, the aura of the Great Avenue on the 2 of them is even more exaggerated and rich than the people fighting in the sky combined. However, such 2 people acted with extreme caution. After entering, while no one was paying attention, the 2 figures headed straight towards Lianbing Mountain. In the Tianhe sect, the 2 powerhouses with almost no aura passed through the Tianhe sect guardian array and sneaked in. Junior brother, pay attention to the concealed aura. Whether the sword sage is out of the gate, it is still unknown. One of the intruders said, this person has sword eyebrows and star eyes, his eyes open and close inadvertently, and the unpredictable atmosphere of the avenue blooms, but at this time he has a guarded expression on his face. Brother, I'm afraid of what he will do. If the sword saint really makes a move, I will just meet this old man for a while. A man with short hair standing like a needle and eyes as big as a bull said. When the man opened his mouth, the void air around him shook, and a wave of heat surged. The man shook his head secretly, his temper was too hot. The 2 are from Ziyang sect, and both belong to the cultivation base of the Celestial Pass. If you encounter Sword Saint this time, the consequences are unimaginable. After all, it is an invincible existence in the same realm. Brother, when we ventured into the Tianhe sect this time, can we really find the Taiwei casting technique left by the Zhenshan ancestor? Said the Tianguan realm powerhouse who is surrounded by fire and Taoist rhyme, seeming to have some doubts about this trip. Don't worry, senior brother replied. My senior from Ziyang sect was once a disciple of the ancestor of Zhenshan. This senior once carefully recorded in secrets that if there is a chance, he must take the Taiwei forging military skills from the mountain of refining soldiers. After that, if it is combined with the Xuanchen refining method of our sect, it can form a secret method for opening the inheritance. In this way, you can get a great opportunity from the ancestor of Zhenshan. As he said, the peerless powerhouse of Zhanmei Star's Tianguan realm was seriously full of enthusiasm. Senior made it clear that this inheritance is related to the heavens and has a very big background. In the beginning, the ancestor of Zhenshan began to plan for this inheritance before he went to the heavens. This is why the inheritance of the Tianhe sect's Lianbing mountain came from. For a person like Zhenshan ancestor who transcends this world, cultivation base can't be said to be in the current situation. The man with the sword eyebrow star paused, and then said, I heard that the mountain of Lianbing received a blind man with poor aptitude 400 years ago and became the only disciple of this time. Now, Taiwei forging weapons is in this person's hands. Jian Meisheng's man's tone is very determined. I have a secret method that can be used to perceive him by contacting karma in these two inheritances. This person is on Refining Hill. Since this induction was born 400 years ago, it has been there. The strong man who was full of Huo Dao Yun was overjoyed, and said, doesn't that mean that we can easily obtain that Dao inheritance as long as we go deep into the Tianhe sect? Yes, the senior nodded with a smile. If the Tianhe sect had not been too strong before, I wouldn't have waited until now to look for this opportunity. Lin Mu Shanxi was beside the two of them, and all kinds of scenery flashed past. The two of them were already very close to Lianbing Mountain in an unpredictable figure. The two smiled. That is the great opportunity left by the great people who transcend this world. If they can get this opportunity of Zhenshan ancestor, let alone break the realm, even if they transcend this world, it is still unknown. Feeling agitated, Immortals Dao Guo seemed to be waving at them. In their eyes, a blind man with low talent can make a name for his cultivation, and it would not be easy to catch this person. Suddenly, a voice came from the void, and the voice was misty, not knowing where it came from, as if it sounded in the ears of the two, with a clear understanding in the tone. Oh, so you two are here to find opportunities. Listening to this voice, the two Tianguan powerhouses who had already sneaked into the Tianhe sect were shocked and looked around in disbelief. Who? The two roared introvertedly, and a layer of rippling appeared in the void around them. Since the voice appeared, the two realized that things had already taken an inevitable turn. This person is able to eavesdrop and speak beside them without being noticed by them. He must be a person of the same realm, and this person does not take the opportunity to attack them. This confidence makes them grim. I am afraid that this person's cultivation base is much better than cultivation base, them. Junior brother, you first think of a way to haunt him. I will find the blind man with inheritance, and get Taiwei forging weapons first, said the man with Zhanmei Star. Good. The younger brother who was wrapped around the flame Daoyun replied. Then his eyes widened, his hair and beard were wide, his arms smashed out into the void, and an invisible wave was emitted. According to the direction of the sound, a force of lava that seemed to burn the sky and the earth was directed. Rush forward. Seeing the two separate, Song Wudao smiled. The two dared to separate in front of him, and looked down at him too much. Immediately after the long knife was pulled out, a clear and translucent knife groan uttered, with a subtle and magnificent feeling, and the snow-white waterfall-like light of the knife swayed down, like a sky full of snow. The man's attack easily tore the opponent to pieces. However, the other party did not die there. As a peerless powerhouse in the heavenly pass, the man can quickly recover even if his body is shattered. The next moment, a mysterious Taoist rhyme changed, the vitality gathered into a storm. As the storm dissipated, the man appeared again intact, but from his messy Taoist rhyme and pale face, it seems that this person has already suffered. Not a minor injury. On the other side, the man's senior stopped seeing this scene, with a look of astonishment on his face. He had long realized that the other party was better than himself and others, but he was far from expecting the other party to be so strong. Horrible. Who is the number one person in Tianhe sect on earth? The flame-wrapped man looked into the distance with horror. He was calm, his whole body was full of breath, the void trembling constantly, the incomparable heat naturally diffused, and the crimson light seemed to melt the void. The man and the senior looked at each other, both of them brazenly shot at the same time, one of them fisted, and a roar suddenly sounded, and a huge red-colored oven emerged and slammed forward. And the other person drew the sword in his hand, swaying it like a panicking sword ray, with a loud voice, as if to cut the world. However, the facts are destined to disappoint the two. A bright blade of light like a galaxy descends suddenly, the sword aura is like Tianhe waterfall, and the violent waves hit the shore, which is extremely fierce. The two of them were like boats in the sea, and they were beaten to pieces by the huge waves, and then they quickly recovered their bodies. Your strength is not bad. A clear and bright voice came from a distance, and then a young man with closed eyes appeared, walking calmly. This is. The two looked at their opponent in disbelief. You are the blind man from Refining Soldier Mountain. How come? It's just a mere 400 years. How can you grow to this point? The face of incomprehension filled the faces of the two people. They never expected that they would beat the two in such an embarrassed opponent. Underestimate the blind man who coveted. Nothing is impossible. With a calm smile on Song Wudao's face, he stood quietly and not far away from the two of them. At this moment, he looked peaceful, as if the two were just two ordinary passers-by who lacked weight. On the other side, the two strong men of the Heavenly Pass were inexplicably shocked. What kind of power is it that makes a person grow to such a point in 400 years that they can even easily defeat two people time and time again? To know when they were this age. It's just barely being promoted to the Gold Core realm. Jian Meizing's purpose is even more dumbfounded by the man. He had searched for information about the cultivation technique early this time. Among them is information about Song Wudao. So he knew that the blind man in front of him was definitely not a talented person, and even had extremely poor aptitude. In addition, his life experience is even more ordinary, not outstanding. Except for a crippling illness with only negative effects, Song Wudao was completely an ordinary disciple of the Tianhe sect. Therefore, at the beginning, he thought that as long as he could sneak into the Tianhe sect safely, and discovered by the hidden ancestor of the Tianhe sect, he and the two could easily capture Song Wudao and then search out the formulas about Taiwei's forging weapons from his brain. It's just that now the blind man turned his back on the guest, and he was very embarrassed to clean up the two of them, which had to shock the two of them. Is this the game you set? Jian Meisheng asked the man. Who are you? He felt that for 400 years of cultivation to such a point, it was simply impossible. Even if celestial immortals descended to the world, such a miracle would not happen. Therefore, the blind man in front of him must be the setter to lure them to the bait. Although he didn't understand how this person knew that the Lianbingshan inheritance was related to the detachment. But this matter is not very strange. After all, the Tianhe sect inheritance is extremely long, and there may be records somewhere around the corner. What is the setting? Song Wudao shook his head blankly. Forget it, I can't explain clearly to you people. He had no intention of explaining to outsiders how he cultivated to this point in 400 years. Song Wu's Dao heart moved slightly, and instantly, the overwhelming Dao Yun burst out of him, shaking the sky and frightening ghosts and gods. The two people on the opposite side turned pale, and there was a huge wave in their hearts. Feeling the feeling of suffocating them, they secretly said that they were not good. Junior brother, this one is weird, hurry up. After Jian Meisheng's Tiangguan powerhouse said this, he turned into a divine rainbow to flee in a hurry. On the other side, the man who was entangled in the flames knew what was wrong, and when the alarm bell rang, he fled towards the other side, acting simply. Through the meeting they had just met, they already knew that they were far from Song Wudao's opponent, so they flee first. Under the threat of death, the two Tiangguan powerhouses quickly fled, unexpectedly exploding at a speed that surprised them all. Song Wudao raised his eyebrows, feeling the breath and Dao Yun of the two quickly fleeing, and moved the corners of his mouth, feeling very interesting. Sure enough, people who live long are different. However, judging from his words, he didn't seem to regard the escape of these two men as an important matter at all. Saber technique. Song Wudao chanted casually, the sword in his hand clanging, as if there were thousands of echoes between the heaven and the earth. The vast intent of the sword lay between the heaven and the earth and the sea. The two who were fleeing noticed the movement, their expressions panicked, the premonition of death got closer, and their bodies trembled. Boom! The sky sword slashed across, the sea of clouds disappeared, and a huge storm surged from the sky and the earth. Do not want. The two yelled, but the voice was too small under the intent of the sword, and the voice was also very far away. Two sharp screams sounded, and dozens of shattering sounds of magic treasures. However, the four-petaled bodies of the two fell on the green mountain. They were horrified to find that their ability to recover was restrained, and their bodies were full of sword energy. These things continued to destroy their vitality. Soon, the two of them had only one last breath, and at this time they could hardly even make the sound of opening their mouths for help. Song Wudao approached the man who was good at fire. At this time, the man was looking at him with hope. The meaning in his eyes was very clear. Song Wudao wanted to give him everything he wanted, only to survive him. However, when dealing with the enemy, Song Wudao had no mercy, and his voice fell like a cold death. Since the infringement of Tianhe sect, we are prepared to die. Song Wudao seemed to look at him with a sigh in his eyes. It is a man who knows himself well, and he who kills is always killed. When he came to the man, he nodded to his forehead with one finger, and a dazzling brilliance bloomed between the eyebrows of this strong man in the heavenly pass. Search for the soul. This is a secret technique that Song Wudao has deliberately found since he failed to torture the information he wanted from Qi Yan and his son last time. This secretary only has a simple name of searching for the soul, but the rank is indeed one of the top methods in this world. Ah! A screaming scream suddenly sounded, shaking the mountains and forests, and countless memory fragments rushed to Song Wudao's soul. In a blink of an eye, Song Wudao sorted out these memories casually, and gradually understood the generality of the matter. Genshin Ancestor. Really a domineering name, Song Wudao said to himself. I don't know how far in the past, there is a strange man between heaven and earth, who is beyond this realm. Before leaving, this detached person had set up 2 lines for his own inheritance. The core cultivation technique of these 2 veins is the Taiwei weapon casting technique and the Xuanchen refining technique, and if someone can have both of the 2 veins at the same time, the 2 cultivation techniques can be combined to open the true inheritance. Key. You don't know Xuanchen artifact refining technique? Song Wudao looked at the man on the ground with some surprise. Then, under the begging gaze of this heavenly pass realm expert, he lightly drew a sword aura. Boundless light and heat were born, and the strong man in the skylight realm who had been in the limelight for a while before his death died, and his body turned into a pool of fleshy mud. Then Song Wudao turned his gaze to the other person. Another person saw the scene before him, with sadness and determination in his eyes. He instigated the last bit of strength. Within his body, the chaotic vitality and the sword chi collided with each other, and a huge earth-shaking sound appeared in this area. After the sound, the smoke and dust filled the sky, and finally everything disappeared, leaving only a few kilometers deep pit. A huge shock wave came towards Song Wudao, and he frowned. Gently waved his hand, and set a transparent knife curtain to block the aftermath. You even exposed yourself, what should I do now? Song Wudao was disappointed when he wanted to explore the inheritance of Genshin ancestors, feeling a little disappointed. Only shortly afterwards, he lightly swept across the ground and discovered the abnormality. The way this explosion is wrong, he said softly. Fake death. Interesting, it seems that I have a chance with this opportunity. After that, Song Wudao's figure disappeared like a ghost. Thousands of miles away from the Tianhe sect, somewhere close to the top of the sky, the misty white clouds flowed among the trees, mountains and rocks, and gathered into a fairy family scene. In the thick clouds and mists, 3 coercive and deep-sea-like figures are in it. Among the 3 figures, some were sitting cross-legged in the void not far from the ground, some standing quietly, and some closing their eyes without saying anything, but invariably, the Daoyun aura on the 3 of them was bottomless and hard to detect. Silence in the field. On the edge of the rock not far from the 3 of them, dozens of experts in the profound realm of caves waited and stood quietly. What's amazing is that these figures, who can dominate in the outside world, now dare not say a word, just wait patiently. At the center of the mountain, a clear man in white clothes and a sword carrying a long sword looked at the direction of Tianhe sect, as if he could penetrate thousands of miles away and see what happened in Tianhe sect. After a while he said, Fellow Taoist Li, the heavenly river Zong Beluo 9 Heaven Sword is already on the stage. They are about to lose their skills. Let's do it. Opposite the man, a calm-looking middle-aged man moved his eyes and said broadly. Wait a little longer. The Tianhe sect hasn't run out of oil and the lamp is dead. What whole cards do they have? We'd better let the people underneath try again. In the middle-aged Taoist's eyes, there seems to be a galaxy cluster circulating, spinning endlessly. He is from the ancestor of the Gate of Northern Dipper. At this moment, the last of the three, with white hair, closed his eyes as if he was resting, suddenly opened his eyes, and he was displeased with what he said to the man with the sword. Janbai, what are you doing in such a hurry? Tianhe sect's preciousness is the number one sect of righteous path. What kind of cards do they have? But maybe. If you want to suffer, eat it yourself, don't drag us both. The white-haired young man said unceremoniously. Isn't it because I was defeated by the Saint of Swordsmen? The white-haired young man said with disdain. Don't forget, our purpose this time is to use this attack to let the Tianhe sect help me alleviate the offensive of Mingtu against us. Don't just think about this fight and delay business. After speaking, the gray-haired young man squinted his eyes. Ah, hearing this, the white-clothed man carrying the sword said coldly, but said nothing. The scene was a little unpleasant. At this time, the middle-aged Taoist not only wanted to ease the atmosphere, but also really questioned and said, Two of you, do any of you know why the two fellow Taoists of Ziyang sect have not come yet? I don't know, the sword-backed man replied. He had doubted about this before, but he didn't think much about it. I don't know, the white-haired young man said irritably. The people of Ziyang sect are also true. They clearly advocated the siege of Tianhe sect this time, but they were late first. He said so, but the white-haired young man was not worried that Ziyang sect would play with them. In front of him, the master who is currently fighting against Tianhe sect is mainly Ziyang sect. Suddenly, a lingering sword chi cut through the sky in the distance and flew like a meteor. This is. The clouds on the top of the mountain dissipated, and the three of them were surprised. The fellow Taoist of Ziyang sect, wounded. The three of them looked solemn. What exactly did Ziyang sect's heavenly pass just experienced? At this time, Ziyang sect's Tianguan powerhouse just arrived, and this person shouted. Three fellow Taoist, quickly attack this person. This person is the helping hand requested by Tianhe sect this time. As soon as this person is broken, our plan will be completed immediately. Having said that, the three of them noticed the profound aura hanging far behind the sky gate of Ziyang sect. This aura is no worse than any of the three, and even wins. The three of them immediately understood that it was this person who wounded the fellow Taoist of Ziyang sect. It seemed that this person was very powerful, but the three of them immediately chose to shoot. They believed that the three of them were enough to overpower each other. In an instant, Ziyang sect's Tianguan was far away again. And this Tianguan realm with a sword eyebrow star, is the person who feigned death and escaped in front of Song Wudao. The chaser behind him was also Song Wudao. Just now, this person used a magical item to use a fake death method and secretly escaped. As a result, he only ate some medicine pill and recovered some injuries. After escaping for some distance, Song Wudao actually chased him again. In the meantime, if he hadn't used various escape magical items, he would have been captured by Song Wudao a long time ago. At this moment, after seeing the three of them, he immediately had the idea of throwing Song Wudao behind them to them. The sky is big, the small life is the biggest. In order to avoid chasing and killing, this is nothing else. This is really too much for the people chasing behind him, otherwise why should he do this? Now it can be delayed for a while, it is for a while. The three major Tianguans brazenly shot, the world changed color for a while, the situation arose, and a powerful attack appeared. Among them, sword chi is passionate, and seems to hit the stars and fall to the moon. There is boundless starlight rises, the big array spreads out, and it runs like eternity. In addition, a murderous intent bloomed in the dark, and the blood-colored starlight locked on Song Wudao who was flying here. In the blink of an eye, the mountains and rivers shattered, and the wind and rain were precarious. In the distance, when the great battle occurred, more than a dozen Dong profound realm not far away had long been far away. When they realized that a fight in the heavenly pass was about to take place, they immediately chose to watch the battle in a remote place. The battle at Tianguan realm is too horrible. If you are not careful, they will be affected and lose their lives. Who is this person? Don't worry about who it is, this person is over. One person is alone against the three great ancestors, he has no chance to survive. Ha ha ha, this person is really stupid, and his luck is extremely bad. However, soon they couldn't laugh, and a scene they had never seen in their lives appeared before their eyes. They will never forget the next scene. I saw the chasing people, slashed fiercely with a slash, and immeasurable brilliance bloomed, like a god like a devil, and the world in front of them was covered with sword aura. After a brilliant sword light passed, there were countless 3 heavenly passes that they trusted so much. Be divided into 2. And watching its Taoist rhyme aura, death has already been annihilated. Watching war practitioner eyes reveal as horrified, and my heart is shaken. The 3 Tianguan ancestors they admired so much on weekdays were beheaded instantly. Who the hell is this person? It's terrible, they said with lingering fears. Then someone said, look at it, the knife in his hand, isn't it the weapon of the Saint of Swordsmen? So to say, this person is the Saint of Sword. Hiss, someone sucked in the air, and the saint really appeared again. But why do they feel that this person's appearance is a bit different from the legendary Saint of Swords? There is always a sense of disobedience. Song Wudao went away in an instant, but before he left, he heard other people's doubts about his identity. Therefore, after he left, a voice from a distance was conveyed to everyone's ears. I am not a saint. These Dong Profound Realm Masters were sweating all of a sudden, and their faces turned pale, and they didn't expect Song Wudao to spot them in the distance. The thoughts that they thought hadn't caught Song Wudao's attention instantly dissipated, becoming sincere and frightened. Secretly praying that the mysterious master should not attack them. I understand, this one is indeed not a saint. Someone understood why they had a sense of disobedience just now, recalling the eyes closed when Song Wudao briefly appeared. Because this is probably a blind man. He is the devil. After leaving, Song Wudao's figure kept chasing the heavenly pass of Ziyang sect. Because this person had used the other Tianguans to hold Song Wudao for a while, he again had the opportunity to escape for a while. In order to escape further, he used many methods during the period. For a time, the mountains and rivers were destroyed, the white clouds collapsed, and the Osca mountain ape was killed and injured countless. However, no matter how many methods he used, his strength was far from Song Wudao in the end. Soon, no, the heavenly pass of Ziyang sect looked at Song Wudao who had captured him in horror. He shouted in pain and runny. As long as you don't search for souls and kill me, I will give you everything. Please, give you all. Song Wudao looked at each other impatiently, and the two chased them all the way. Late, on the face with his eyes closed, he said this sentence expressionlessly, like a statement from the god of death. A finger was placed on the terrified man, but it made him powerless because he couldn't move at all. The brilliance between the eyebrows bloomed, dazzling, but with the deadly shadow of death. A scream was sent to the sky. God. Song Wudao said to himself that this chase was a complex experience that he had rarely experienced in his life. After that, he smiled, basically the same as he thought. This Tianguan realm's body really has the secret technique of Xuanshan's refining technique and other detailed information. Recalling the content of Taiwei's weapon casting, Song Wudao split the two tactics together after a while. But when he was integrated together, he finally understood why he had felt that there was a shortcoming in the two micro-forging art. It turned out that this formula was originally incomplete. Completing this tactic at this moment, a comfortable feeling immediately emerged. He looked at the information that naturally appeared in his mind, showing a curious look. Tianshan Mountain. This is a map that records the specific location of Tianshan Mountain. This map only marks the location and nothing else. It looks like it's not very far from here. I don't know what is left behind by the detached. The corners of Song Wudao's mouth twitched, and the secrets of Tianshan Mountain were eager to try. In a blink of an eye, his figure disappeared, and he has no idea where he is going. In the sky above Tianhe sect, countless gods and immortal lights collided violently, and the sound of beating and killing continued to sound. This battle is not over yet. Massive vitality is intertwined, colorful lights are flying, and magical items collide with each other, which is extremely gorgeous, bursting out with stunning power. On the ground, a group of disciples barely supported by relying on sect formation, and this did not fall in front of the opponent's master. But at this moment, the formation light curtain is getting thinner and thinner, as if it is about to break. However, they have no help. Tianhe sect is at stake. Before, although sects' whole cards were revealed time and time again. For example, the magical beast with spirituality, the powerful weapon with the power of latitude and longitude, and the long-lost sect elder. However, these opposites have long been prepared. Then, under the powerful forces on the opposite side, the decline of the Tianhe sect became more and more obvious. Half a quarter of an hour later, under the barely support of the people of Tianhe sect, the five forces were unable to attack for a long time. At this time, the profound Dongzhan experts of the major sects thousands of miles away finally recovered from the frightening situation, and got rid of the influence of Song Wudao that seemed to kill the world with a slash. They looked at each other, and then each reported the astonishing changes that had taken place here at the fastest speed, and told the same sect who was attacking Tianhe sect. After a while, an unknown master of the Tianhe sect appeared and killed the 3 Tianguan ancestors with a single blow. The people who were besieging Tianhe sect were all dumbfounded and shocked when they heard this message. Then they soon sweated and their complexions turned pale. This strong man is terrible. Kill the 3 heavenly gates with a single blow, if this strong man points his sharp blade at himself and others. They thought. At this moment, all the masters of the 5 major forces shuddered. This is not impossible. Although this heavenly pass powerhouse hasn't shown up yet, maybe it's just that he hasn't pushed the opponent for a certain period of time. If the attack continues, the opponent would rather give up his face and end himself. They can't imagine what the scene will be, and they don't dare to imagine. What should we do now? Someone asked. What else? Retreat quickly. Do you want to die or don't you think your life is not long enough? All the high levels angered. Don't leave yet. Are you waiting for someone to take your life? Soon, before everyone in the Tianhe sect had reacted, the 5 major forces had already receded like a tide, and they were walking in a hurry. What's happening here? The many elders of the Tianhe sect are obviously very daunting. The 2 parties were still in a bloody battle just now. Why are they suddenly retreating without a trace now, completely clean, making them still a little uncomfortable? The other party retreats so simply, without beginning or end. There must be a problem. Could it be that advancement is retreat? But it's a little different, but you must be careful anyway. Criminal law elder said to himself. In various historical sect battles, there have been all conspiracies and tricks. If it is said that this is a trick for them, it is not impossible. Afterwards, the criminal law elder summoned all the elders who participated in the war. Everyone, although I don't know why these forces will suddenly retreat. But, according to the battle course of each sect in history, the ancestors of the 5 major forces will come soon. Hearing this news that the world was about to die, many elder faces were grim and tired, but they didn't give up. Criminal law elder continued to conclude. We must be prepared to sacrifice. Everyone was silent. At this time, a thought arose in their hearts at the same time. I hope that the ancestors can arrive at the last moment of sect and guard the disciples of Tianhe sect. They are the real future. In the Tianhe sect, far and deep, surrounded by heavy fog, it is impossible to see things 100 meters away. Jiyu Kaishuan stood quietly in front of a majestic mountain covered by heavy fog. As far as Jiyu Kaishuan knows, this sacred mountain is not a real mountain, but a formation, the Lot Demon Formation. A huge formation of how many monsters are imprisoned. Because there are too many monsters and too strong, the ancestors even need to stay in it day and night without interruption. In front of the mountain, Jiyu Kaishuan kept her eyes silent and saluted seriously, then her lips moved slightly, as if she was saying something to this sacred mountain. Then she ushered in and waited patiently. After a long while, this sacred mountain finally appeared waves. The white mist dispersed, like a soldier welcoming the king, and a path for people to walk appeared. At the end of the road, on the surface of the sacred mountain, the rocks appear as ripples on the surface of the water. The 2 bodies with deep oars crossed the surface of the sacred mountain, wanting Jiyu Kaishuan to come. So she respectfully saluted. Ancestor. In the thick fog, the phantom of the sacred mountain stood in the distance, making it difficult to see the whole picture. 2 figures came from the channel formed by the thick fog. The rhyme of the 2 men is like mountains and seas, vast and vast. One of them is middle-aged, named Jiyu Hai, with a square face, white skin, deep and boundless eyes, and the faint sound of waves playing beside him, making people unable to help but think of the vast ocean. The other was named Lu Shan, an old man. He was tall and his face was covered with traces of time. Wearing a brown ancient dress, he was as calm and serene as a sacred mountain. Ji Kaishuan, the tall old man asked. The young sect leader's information had long been passed back to the depths of the Tianhe sect, and the old man was only here to confirm. Yes, ancestor. Ji Kaishuan saluted respectfully, and then replied. The expression on her face was very calm at this time, but the slightly trembling arms when she saluted her betrayed her. Seeing Ji Kaishuan's slight anxiety, the old man showed a kind smile and said broadly. Don't be nervous, do I remember Chengming's granddaughter? Ji Chengming, the old sect leader of Tianhe sect, is also Ji Kaishuan's grandfather. Hey, it's a pity that Chengming left too early. After that, sect made the same statement. It can only let you preside over such a big family business of Tianhe sect early. These years, you have been working hard. The old man said. Ji Kaishuan was moved in her heart. She opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something but didn't say anything. All right, too. The middle-aged man next to the old man who reminded Han Hai said, interrupting the two. The matter is urgent, we must retell the old, and then retell it later. Yes, ancestor. Ji Kaishuan replied. Afterwards, the three of them flew out of the fog together and flew towards the sect battlefield. While flying, Ji Kaishuan told the two ancestors about the situation this time. This information was obtained by communicating with Elder of the criminal law before she entered the fog. Enlightened ancestors, this accident was caused by the 5 major forces taking on the issue after the incident of the same speech was exposed. This time I came to the 5 forces that attacked the Tianhe sect. Each sect has more than 10 Dongshuan realm masters, and 80 gold cores participated. And here, there are also Devil Dao and the people from the Heavenly Slaughter Tower hiding, secretly attacking. According to the performance of the various masters this time, as well as the actual intelligence collection, each of the 3 sects of Feixian sect, Ziyang sect, and Northern Dipper Gate will have at least one celestial passage ancestor appearing on this battlefield, superior. If you are unlucky, there will be even more. Above the sky, Lu Yunfei now passed by, and the 2 ancestors listened carefully. As Ji Kaishuan told her, their faces became more and more ugly. These people are so much yaxing, Ming Tu is not enough for them to work, so they come to our Tianhe sect to go wild. Old ancestor Ji Hai blushed and said with a bit of anger. The old man did not say that he is 2 years old after all, and he is not so easy to get angry. Ji Hai, this matter is probably not easy. Ji Hai was taken aback for a moment, and then began to think. Ji Kaishuan listened carefully. The ancestor Lu Shan then explained. Recently, the underworld we suppressed has shown signs of riots. Once the riots come, it will definitely be a huge test for us sects. These people probably can't bear their own losses, and they want to make troubles before they come to us. Ji Kaishuan was shocked in her heart. She couldn't think of the fact that the forces from all over the world sent troops to the Tianhe sect this time, and there was such a reason, which can be called sinister intentions. What a scourge! Ji Hai scolded, after which he lost his temper. Underworld is about to riot. These people don't want to work together, but are intrigued here. I'm really not afraid of dying first. Once the underworld riots come, the damage can far exceed this time when the 5 major forces attacked the Tianhe sect. At that time, everyone will have to take care of themselves. Hey, I hope that there will be no more than 3 people in the heavenly pass of sect this time, otherwise it is really difficult to stop them from destroying the Tianhe sect. Lu Shan said with emotion. The old face of the mountain showed melancholy. Others also looked heavy. Is it difficult for the Tianhe sect to avoid this catastrophe after all? During the flight, Ji Kaishuan thought. The mountains and rivers turned upside down, the white clouds returned, and the 3 of them came to the place where sect's fighting atmosphere was strongest in a moment. It's just that people have already gone to the building here, and there is only a mess, the pitted mountains and bushes, there are no traces of enemies. Guai and Lucian let their perceptions go, and the invisible power covers their surroundings, and the result is the same. The 2 looked at each other, and both saw the surprise in their eyes. Is this the end of the battle? The 2 turned their gazes to Penal Elder, and Penal Elder happened to bring many elders to visit him. I have seen the ancestors. Elder said, all of a sudden, the sound of sleeves rubbing against each other when they salute. Yeah, The two nodded, accepting everyone's courtesy. Punishment, I don't think there is anyone around here, if there are still many traces of fighting left, as if nothing happened, what is going on? Lu Shan ancestor asked. Penalty elder looked straight. My ancestor, I don't know. In the battle just now, these people suddenly evacuated. Their behavior seems unreasonable, so I have arranged for someone to inquire. The ancestor Lu Shan nodded, and agreed with this explanation. Soon, a blood-stained middle-aged man in white flew over from the clouds. This person was the one sent by the punishment elder to find out. Seeing the middle-aged man fall, everyone looked at him with doubts and expectations. Good news, good news. The man yelled after he fell. Before he could clarify, the punishment elder yelled, Han Dang, come here quickly and have seen the ancestor. Han Dang glanced intently, his eyes flashed with surprise. Yes. After a quick visit to the ancestor, he continued. The sudden retreat of the 5 major forces has been investigated. The reason why they retreat so endlessly this time is because my Tianhe sect has a strong shot and killed 4 other ancestors of his ancestor Tianguan, making them have to retire. Han Dang was so happy that he almost shouted out. The depressed mood of being slandered and oppressed by other sects for no reason was swept away, and he exhaled. Han Dang said lightly, but his words stirred up waves with one stone, and instantly many elders boiled. The 2 ancestors of the Tianhe sect were even more shocked and couldn't believe it. What did you say? You repeat what you just said. Old ancestor Ji Yu Hai said with an exaggerated expression. This, Han Dang hesitated, seeing that the ancestor was very shocked and didn't believe what he said. This made him wonder if he had offended the ancestor. After all, what he said was the truth. Say it, Ji Yu Hai ancestor urged again. Han Dang gritted his teeth, he had a clear conscience, so he repeated the content just now again. Ancestor, someone just shot and killed 4 other sect ancestors. Ji Yu Hai's eyes suddenly widened and said, this is impossible. This is impossible, Ji Yu Hai patriarch said, inadvertently showing his majesty. Han Dang's frightened hand trembled, punishment elder was also startled, and the introduction of elders stopped. The scene was quiet for a while, and the needle drop could be heard. Ahem, Ji Yu Hai, don't make a final conclusion at this time, let me ask the details. Lu Shan ancestor interrupted. Okay, Ji Yu Hai fully agreed, and he also realized that he had made a mistake because he was too shocked, which made the scene a little awkward. At this time, Lu Shan took the conversation, and he was naturally happy. All right, the ancestor Lu Shan waved his hand, and everyone seemed to relax as if they were ordered. Han Dang, tell me, how did you get this information? Don't worry that Ji Yu Hai was so surprised just now. The powerhouse in the Heavenly Pass has the ability to rebirth from a drop of blood, and it is difficult to be killed by the same realm. Even if you are killed, it will take a lot of time, hard work. Able to kill 4 celestial passes in such a short period of time, this kind of character is one of the few in the Tianhe sect. Everyone took a breath, and suddenly realized why the ancestor was rude just now. After knowing the reason, Han Dang looked at the kind smile on the old face of Lu Shan ancestor, and he was relieved. My ancestor, I learned after torturing after defeating a single gold core 3rd stage. The ancestor Lu Shan's eyes narrowed slightly and asked, are you sure you can't make a mistake? Yes, ancestor, I saw with my own eyes in the memory fragments obtained after the soul search. The masters of the 5 major forces at that time each exclaimed and said these contents. The cultivator of the soul searched is not far away, so I can listen carefully. The ancestor nodded. That's pretty credible. At the same time, the ancestors and penal elder exchanged spirits with penal elder and learned that this elder named Han Dang is very reliable and worthy of trust. In other words, this matter is very likely to be true. The ancestor Lu Shan was stunned for the first time, and then when his eyes met, he told Ji Yu Hai before and after the questioning process. After Ji Yu Hai learned about it, he was still more shocked than Lu Shan. Around, everyone looked at the expressions of the 2 ancestors and Lu Shan's affirmation. They had determined the answer. Everyone in the field was shocked. After the explanation of Lu Shan's ancestor just now, they understood more how terrifying the shooter was. But, who is this shooter? Who else has walked out from the depths of Tianhe sect besides us? Furthermore, it can kill 4 celestial passes in such a short period of time. The ancestor Ji Yu Hai fell into a deep bewilderment, frowning in thought. Could it be too easy for true monarch to make a move? Lu Shan ancestor pondered. No, Ji Yu Hai ancestor said. Tai true monarch had been wounded all the time after fighting a heavenly demon who wanted to break through in the 9 nether portal before, so he wouldn't take it easily. And this person must be a well-informed person who can take action before the two of us. Ji Yu Hai ancestor denied. At this time, other people were also speculating about who this shot was. One by one, the name was proposed, and one by one was denied. Suddenly, Ji Yu Kaishuan said, "Will this matter be done by the Sword Saint Senior?" In fact, at the beginning, she was wondering whether this matter was done by the Sword Saint Senior. The Saint of Swords' talent is peerless, and has been invincible among the same generation since closed-door training. After closed-door training, no one can tell what realm this person has reached. However, the Knife Saint Senior had rejected them before, so she was not sure whether it was done by the Sword Saint Senior. The ancestor of the Saint Sword, someone said, thinking for a moment, and said, "It is indeed very possible. Kai Zan is right. No one except this ancestor has saved me so frequently in the last few hundred years. It seems that Senior has a knife-mouthed tofu heart. He didn't leave me and waited, so he couldn't help but shoot." Numerous elders said one after another. This statement was approved by most elders for a while. Even the penalty elder nodded slightly and smiled triumphantly. The Sword Saint Senior has always been the pride of their Tianhe sect, and he has indeed solved the sect crisis many times. It's just that suddenly, the ancestor Ji Yu Hai showed a look of astonishment. "Who are you talking about?" The ancestor Lu Shan was also very puzzled, looking around in confusion. "Knife Saint," elder explained. "Yes, 2 ancestors, what's wrong?" The Sword Saint Senior has made several shots over the years, not only saving Kaishuan's life, but also killing the demons together. Yu sect has done a lot to save sect. Everyone, with one word, gradually clarified the events of these years. However, the clearer what everyone said, the more weird the faces of the 2 ancestors of the Tianhe sect, and the thicker the surprise. They looked at each other and seemed to be eager for an explanation, but they could only say nothing. Finally, the ancestor Ji Yu Hai couldn't help sighing. "Hey," he said, "no one can possibly belong to senior brother Dao Sheng in this matter." As if recalling a very sad thing, his face became sad and sorrowful, and his eyes showed the color of memories. "Back then, I personally watched the last breath that senior brother Dao Sheng swallowed. If you count it in terms of time, it's already nearly 800 years ago. So how could this person be senior brother Dao Sheng?" Everyone was stunned, and the ancestor's voice exploded like thunder, making people confused. "Ancestor, is this true? Isn't it possible?" someone in elder said. In the past few hundred years, they did not know once saw the traces of the Knife Saint Senior's shot, and even fortunately witnessed the scene of the Knife Saint Senior holding a long knife and killing together. Although the senior's face was vague at the time, no matter whether the long sword or Dao Yun in his hand, he belonged to the Saint of Swords. So how could the ancestor of the Sword Saint fell as early as 800 years ago? I think at the beginning, the Saint of Swords was an inexhaustible talent. Such a person must have great luck in his body, so how can he fall easily? Ancestor, this is impossible, something must have gone wrong. Ji Yu Kaishuan's complexion was red, and she was very impatient. Her idol actually fell 800 years ago. Such an impact made her dizzy even after many winds and rains, and it was difficult to accept. Many elder looked at the ancestor with expectant eyes, but Ji Yu Hai shook his head and said, "This matter is unequivocal. It's a pity that senior brother Dao Sheng was originally a talented person, but he was a rare genius in the world. When he suppressed Mingtu, he killed the demons with fear, and he didn't dare to appear in front of the seniors. In the end, however, I did not escape the fate of the day. Time and fate die before the achievement of true monarch." After speaking, everyone showed sad expressions. Only after a long silence, someone still couldn't help asking, "Then, who is the person who has been sheltering the Tianhe sect over the years?" I remember that Dao Sheng brother once left his inheritance, waiting for those who are destined to inherit it. And if you can make you guess the wrong person after observing the aura of Dao Yun, then this person must have a great relationship with senior brother Dao Sheng. Senior brother Dao Sheng is dedicated to the sword, and he has never heard of anyone close to him. So this person must be the inheritor of senior brother Dao Sheng. After hearing other people's questions, the ancestor Ji Yu Hai replied. After careful reasoning, everyone who said it brightened up, and it seemed that they were getting closer and closer to finding the answer. Wrong, the ancestor Lu Shan said suddenly. A ray of wisdom flashed across his old face, as if he had discovered something. It's only 800 years since the fall of the Saint Sword. Even if someone can get his inheritance, that person is a genius and not enough to grow to where he is today. Which one can enter the celestial pass, which didn't take thousands of years of cultivation to succeed? What's more, the one who shot is far beyond the average celestial pass. He killed 4 in such a short time. A strong man in the sky. So, this is more likely to be a friend of the Saint of Swordsmen, so he can imitate his Dao Yun so much. After listening to this well-founded speech by the ancestor Lu Shan, the many elders underneath stared in deep thought, and they skipped a few names in their hearts, but they all did not match. The identity of the mysterious person has become increasingly uncertain. Impossible, Ji Yu Hai ancestor retorted. I know all the friends of senior brother Dao Sheng. There is no such candidate. None of them came out this time. The identity of the person who assisted was overthrown again, and the doubts in the eyes of everyone became greater and greater. Who on earth is it that, at the moment of the Tianhe sect's crisis, shot twice to save everyone? Everyone was itchy in their hearts like they were scratched by a cat, wanting to know. The person who shoots must be very friendly to the Tianhe sect, and even maintain it. But why is this person always reluctant to show up and reveal his own identity? Is there something hidden here, or some hidden secret? What is the identity of this person with the Saint of Swords? Questions surround everyone, and the identity of this person is becoming more and more mysterious. On the other side, Ji Yu Kaixuan has been relieved from the blow of the fall of the Saint, and she is also seriously thinking about the identity of the mysterious person. Thinking back to the intersection between her and the Sword Saint Senior, she naturally recalled Song Wudao. I remembered that Song Wudao admitted that the promotion of own realm was related to the Saint of Swords, and remembered that Song Wudao said that she would take action to help her defend against the enemy of sect. At first, I thought that this was just because of the concern of my friend, so I was soothing her. But now it seems that all of this is extremely extraordinary. He must know something, Ji Yu Kaixuan said, her palms clenched into fists. Song Wudao had never lied to her. If there were no problems in it, it would be impossible to justify. 2 ancestors, the sect crisis has been resolved, and I remembered that there is still something important to do, so I should take a step forward. As she said, Ji Yu Kaixuan turned around and left quickly, regardless of everyone's doubts. This girl, why is she still frizzy? What is it that makes her so irritable? By the clouds in the sky, Ji Yu Kaixuan looked anxious, and the answer seemed to be one step short, which made her more eager to know the result. Song Wudao, she just yelled when she approached the Lianbingshan foundry room. What is the relationship between you and the Sword Saint Senior? However, only her voice echoed in the casting room, empty, and no one answered her. But Ji Yu Kaixuan looked around, but she never saw Song Wudao. For a while, Ji Yu Kaixuan felt at a loss, and Song Wudao was always there at this time on weekdays. Why is it missing now? The mountains gather, the ancient trees are verdant, and the white clouds are flying in the mountains. According to the location indicated on the map, Song Wudao came here. Is this Tianshan Mountain? Song Wudao said to himself. System, sign in. Since it is a place where the inheritance of those who transcend this world is buried, there must be something unusual, and he naturally can't let it go. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in, and getting one experience of the Heavenly Pass. Song Wudao opened his mouth slightly. This was really dozing off and giving a pillow. Now he is in the realm of Dongshuan 9th stage, only a thin line away from the Heavenly Pass, and it seems that he may break into it at any time. However, this line is often the most difficult. Just like reaching a certain level of consummation, it will make the realm too strong, forming a shell that wraps the practitioner from the inside to the outside. At this time, what I cherish the most is an opportunity to break out of the shell. And this is the opportunity to go from the 9th stage breakthrough of Dongzhan to the Heaven Pass. Song Wudao estimated at the speed of an ordinary cultivator. For this opportunity, he would probably have to waste another 100 years before he could be promoted. In this regard, Song Wudao was very helpless. This was probably the longest time needed to break through the barriers since his cultivation. With this time, it was even enough for him to grow from nothing and cultivate to the gold core realm again. However, this was a very long time for Song Wudao, and for anyone else in this world, it was incredibly short. 100 years of time can be from the 9th stage breakthrough to the heavenly pass. This is something that many geniuses can't ask for. You know, even the peerless Tianzhao, it often takes thousands of years to succeed from the 9th stage. The 100 years that Song Wudao estimated to use was simply shocking. Once this news is said, I don't know how many earth-shattering waves it can cause. However, Song Wudao just shook his head, still dissatisfied. After a while, Song Wudao came to a secluded place and sat quietly for half an hour. After conditioning his body and soul to the best condition, he said, "System, start this experience." "Okay, host," the system replied. Soon, after the sound of the system disappeared, a special feeling came. Song Wudao could clearly perceive that his own deep thinking became very clear. The questions that he didn't understand before now have the answers immediately, even if some of the questions are too difficult. Can have a general idea in a short time. At the same time, he felt that his connection with the heaven and the earth had become very deep. There was a sense of blood connection, and the principle of the great principle in the world became clearly visible. It was no longer the same as it was in the past, and the flowers in the mist always seemed to be separated by a layer. The corners of Song Wudao's mouth showed joy. Grasp the opportunity, maybe you can break through to the heavens. It is said that there is a chance to reborn in Tiangwan, and I don't know if I can get rid of this crippling disease. After secretly thinking about it, Song Wudao calmly closed his eyes, carefully insight into the difference between the heavenly pass and the cave profound realm, striving to break the pass. On the way to insight, he sometimes seemed to encounter problems, frowning, and sometimes raising the corners of his mouth, unconsciously happy. And time, just like that, 11 years later in a blink of an eye. 11 years later, Song Wudao's body was already covered with dust unknowingly, and he seemed to have become a calm rock, in harmony with the heaven and the earth. A bird fell on his shoulder, coming and going, as if it had landed on an unknown branch. It didn't cause anything, and it was silent all the time. Suddenly, the vitality around Song Wudao began to gather. From little at first, to more and more, it gradually became a huge vortex. Slowly, dark clouds gathered and covered hundreds of miles around. The wind was blowing and the vegetation was broken. In Song Wudao's body, an inexplicable Daoyun aura emerged. This breath wandered, and finally gradually turned into a seed-like brilliance. Guanghua is mysterious and unpredictable. Although it is small, its breadth is as vast as the heavens and the earth, and it is difficult to predict. This is the seed of heaven and earth, and every cultivator that wants to become a cultivator of heaven and earth will condense. It was a proof of entering the heavenly pass, and at the same time, the seed of heaven and earth had all kinds of mysteries. The most famous among them is the magical power of blood rebirth. After the cultivator condenses the seed of heaven and earth, every time the seed of heaven and earth increases in size, it means that the cultivator realm has advanced to the first stage again. In Song Wudao's body, the brilliance gradually solidified and slowly turned into a seed shape. At the same time, Song Wudao felt that his connection with the world became deeper, as if there were bright invisible threads connecting him to the world. At this moment, Song Wudao had a clear enlightenment: he must be able to enter the realm of heaven. Song Wudao silently felt that the seeds in front of him had begun to take shape, and he was already looking forward to stepping into the heavenly pass. However, half a day passed, this seed hardly produced any changes, as if it could never take shape, becoming a real seed of heaven and earth. Song Wudao was puzzled. What's wrong? Do I feel wrong, because I used trickery? Should it be, why did everything go well before, without the slightest error, but now there is a problem? Time was flowing, Banjushang passed, and the situation in front of him had not improved at all. Song Wu's rare anxiety in Dao's heart became uneasy. This kind of inexplicable, but with no solution at all, made him feel at a loss. Suddenly, something changed in the heavens and the earth, and an inexplicable message was projected from Song Wu's Dao heart. The message is that heavenly Dao will send it out. The method is mysterious, and there is almost no trace to be found. As for the content, Song Wu Dao soon knew. Keeping the 9 nether portal for 100 years, congealing the sky will plant 1. If you don't guard the door, the heavens will not freeze. By the way, this message also introduced the information of Juyu portal. The 9 nether portal is the gateway from the underworld to this realm, and it is also the place where the 2 realms meet. The underworld is a powerful world. Over the years, the reason why this Fang Tiandi looks like a demon is because the 2 worlds are too close to each other. Therefore, Heavenly Dao will want to use the hands of the cultivator to guard the portal of this world. Because condensing the seed of heaven and earth is cultivated by the power of heaven and earth, so whenever someone wants to condense the seed of heaven and earth, Heavenly Dao will ask for that person. First of all, this person needs to guard the portal of heaven and earth for 100 years before he can obtain the qualification to condense a seed of heaven and earth, otherwise realm will be locked by Heavenly Dao's will. And to condense the second seed of heaven and earth, you need to guard the 9 nether portal for another 100 years. In the realm of Tiangwan, and so on, every first stage realm needs a cultivator to exchange for 100 years of guarding time. I see. It's no wonder that there isn't a single heavenly pass realm strong in the Tianhe sect. It turned out to be guarding the Juyu gate. Song Wudao thought to himself. Immediately he shifted his attention to the request of the seed of condensing heaven and earth, and he began to frown. He who owns the system can only fully utilize the system's capabilities if he goes out more. However, the guarding of the Juyu gateway will last for at least 100 years. Such a large restriction is too unfavorable for his usual cultivation. Thinking of this, he felt tangled. If he does not guard the 9 nether portal, he will not be able to step into the next realm. If he guards the 9 nether portal, it will greatly slow down his cultivation speed, although this may be nothing, but for Song Wudao, who likes to practice, this is a very bad thing. In general, both sides are not good. Hey, Song Wudao sighed. This Fang Tiandi is a little troublesome with his request, but if you don't follow it, you won't be able to Ascension Realm. Finally, think about it, if there is no Tiangwan realm to guard the 9 nether portal, I am afraid this world has long become a paradise for demon. To be blessed by the heaven and the earth, it is also due to do things for the heaven and the earth. Thinking of this, Song Wudao was about to meet the conditions for this promotion. However, at this moment, the galaxy cluster sword skill in the body suddenly started to operate spontaneously, and the meridians bloomed with twinkling stars, shining like colored glaze. As the light shines, Dao Dao Yun suddenly condenses, like streams and rivers, into the seeds of heaven and earth that have not been fully revealed. And with the infusion of Dao Dao Yun, this transformation that had been stagnant for a long time finally started again. What's going on? Song Wudao asked bewildered. It seemed to be dominated by his instinct. The brilliance is condensed, and a seed of heaven and earth full of the charm of swordsmanship emerges, like a jade glaze, shining colorfully, with mysterious and inexplicable lines. Above the sky, dark clouds made their debut and thunderous, resounding thousands of miles away. An immense pressure fell on Song Wudao. Heaven and earth are preventing the formation of this Dao Dao seed. Under the roar, this sword kind grew up in an orderly manner. The world can't stop it. Finally, it appeared smoothly, and the details became more complete. But soon, Song Wudao ushered in a thrilling transformation. The first thing that changed was his blood. The blood in his body began to boil, the circulation accelerated, and new blood was constantly being produced. The essence of the old blood was absorbed by the new blood and then excreted from the body. This caused Song Wudao to cough up blood continuously for a while, and it looked like he had a serious illness, but this was just because of the violent transformation. Next came the flesh and blood. His body became very itchy. During this period, the old parts continued to shatter and then were replaced by new ones. The flesh and blood on Song Wudao's body were constantly squirming, and pieces of fine tissues emerged from the flesh, even mixed with fine bone fragments. This made Song Wudao at this moment look terrifying, like an inexplicable monster. This transformation is tragic and abnormal. However, these efforts are rewarded. Taking the sword species condensed in the body as the source point, his body has undergone earth-shaking changes, not only has his physical talents become stronger, but also has a more affinity for the road, especially related to the sword. In addition, among the knives, there seemed to be all kinds of mysterious waiting for him to dig. Time gradually passed, and with the replacement of blood and bones, and the renewal of internal organs, this transformation reached its apex. With a hunch, Song Wudao understood that the opportunity he had been looking forward to treat the disabled disease had finally arrived. Chapter 31. In a secluded place, surrounded by mountains and rocks, Song Wudao sits cross-legged. Due to the violent transformation, the old flesh and blood, visceral pieces, broken bone pieces, and blood scattered around him, the scene looked a bit tragic. At this moment, a soft radiance on Song Wudao's body lit up. Observing carefully, the source of this brilliance was Song Wudao's closed eyes. In Song Wudao's perception at this time, the world seemed to be lit up with endless brilliance, white, pale gold and soft, very peculiar. At first sight, he thought he had restored his vision, but he quickly realized that these brilliants were all the same color, so it was just an unknown reaction. But Rao was so, Song Wudao was also very happy. For a blind man of several hundred years old, seeing this is too much hope. In perception, these brilliants rushed to his eyes eagerly. Gradually, these golden colors became more and more intense, like melting and flowing metal, shining solid and mysterious brilliance, as if containing an infinite world. What is this? Song Wudao said in his heart. He waited patiently for unknown reasons. The sun and the moon cycle, day and night alternate. One day has passed, Song Wudao still closed his eyes and meditated quietly. As he perceives, all the brilliance flows into his eyes. The world became quiet, and the world that was supposed to have become pitch black, even light penetrated through the eyelids. An inexplicable flow of emotions in Song Wudao's heart called touching. Can you finally see it? A warm current flowed in his heart. Song Wudao's eyelashes trembled lightly, and his eyes slowly opened. Song Wudao was stunned by the sight in front of him. The chaotic colors spread out in front of his eyes, and the world is like a patch of color smeared. How is this? Why is the world I see fundamentally different from what others portrayed? Is there something wrong with someone else's description? No, it should be a problem with this transformation. It's too vague. Song Wudao was a little lost. His hand touched his eyes along the way, but he was shocked under this situation. What's the matter, my eyes? He exclaimed. At this moment, he touched the hand to the eye, and he felt that it was empty inside. This discovery made him pale. If his eyes were gone, how could he see the world again? Do I really shouldn't be born to see this world? Song Wudao couldn't help but doubt himself. God always seemed to be against him in this matter. 2 lives are human, both lives are blind. In the second life, he finally got the opportunity to cultivate, arrived in the gold core realm, and got a chance for transformation. The result was still nothing, but the second time, he lost his eyes directly. How could he not doubt that his destiny should be so? Suddenly, a wonderful feeling came up in Song Wudao's mind. He felt that his disappeared eyes, hungry. This feeling is too strange, but it is unexpectedly true, contradictory, and bewildering. Song Wudao took out a meal left over when realm was still low and put it in front of him. The eyes didn't respond, and the hunger was still there. He didn't know, so, after thinking about it, he found a demonic beast, killed it, and cooked it, and it turned out to be useless whether it was raw or cooked. In the end, I tried no less than 100 things, and it turned out that I didn't have anything for my eyes. Forget it, Song Wudao said. He gave up trying and took out all the things in the storage ring. It didn't matter this moment. The moment the things came out, one after another items flew up and hung in the air in front of Song Wudao. 6 clean bamboos, Shanghai no thought sand, cliff god iron, he felt. Each piece is of high-quality heavenly and mortal treasures, which he has obtained over the years through signing in, and the number is huge. It turned out to be so. Song Wudao lightly nodded and understood that only when the quality is high enough can he win the favor of his eyes. I didn't expect to be picky eaters. Then, in front of Song Wudao, piece by piece of treasure was captured by an invisible force. Under this force, the gods on the treasure gradually condensed, the essence was extracted, and waves flowed into Song Wudao's eyes. An unusually comfortable and cool sensation breathes in Song Wudao's heart. It's like drinking a cold drink under the hot summer sun. He could feel that something was gestating in his eye sockets, and a burst of vitality was flowing in them. That kind of thing is pure and mighty, as if forever hunger and thirst, never satisfied. This is Dao Tong. Song Wudao guessed that he had heard about Dao Tong before, but it is said that this kind of thing is completely fabricated in the legend and has not appeared at all, so he is not sure whether this statement is correct. But what is certain is that it may be because his eyes are regained. So he can use this to let his eyes grow more. In other words, his eyes are destined to be extraordinary. Next, a huge amount of heavenly and mortal treasures appeared in front of Song Wudao's eyes, being absorbed by the essence. Feeling the loss of the essence of these treasures, Song Wudao became more and more happy. The more these things absorb, the greater the potential of his eyes. Time passed. 9 years have passed in a blink of an eye. During these 9 years, the treasures he obtained through signing in for hundreds of years were gradually exhausted. His pupils have also begun to regenerate, and now they have begun to take shape. In perception, they are filled with golden light. It's not enough. It's longing for more. Song Wudao was surprised, but he was also happy to see the result. After thinking for a moment, Song Wudao locked the next target as the inheritance of Tianshan Mountain. The inheritance left by the ancestor of Zhenshan as a detached person is certainly not trivial. Besides, even if there is no treasure that can help him, he signs in among them, maybe he can get a great help. Perceiving the location of the inheritance, Song Wudao stood up. His ability, who has been promoted to the first stage of Tiangguan, is no longer what it used to be. With a gentle step, the mountains and rivers turned, and he had reached his destination. This is an empty valley with verdant trees and gurgling streams. Opposite Song Wudao is a bald mountain wall. Stroking the thick and natural texture on it, he affirmed, "That's it." Then, he used the 2 methods of Taiwei refining weapon technique and Xuanshan refining weapon technique, tapping on the mountain wall with a special rhythm. Like the surface of the water, the mountain wall produces waves and ripples, ups and downs. When the clouds gathered in the wind, the surrounding spirits were surging, and the vitality poured into it madly. After a while, the vitality within 1,000 miles has been taken away by him. At this time, the mountain wall is shining slightly, and it seems that it is on the way to open. Song Wudao watched the formation working on the mountain wall. The formation was very brilliant and its aura was mysterious. The sporadic Taoist rhyme escaping from it also proved its extraordinary. Everything seems to be normal. But after Song Wudao waited for half an hour, Shanbi had no follow-up response. How is this going? Song Wudao frowned and thought. On the mountain wall, the signs of formation's operation have changed from bright to dark, which means that the opening speed of the inheritance has fallen into a flat state. Song Wudao carefully recalled the previous process of formation operation. All indications indicate that the opening of this formation requires an extremely large amount of vitality. But now, Song Wudao perceives that the vitality within thousands of miles around has been taken away. Because of the opening of the formation here, it even temporarily created a vacuum zone, and the vitality flowing between the heavens and the earth could not be naturally replenished. Feeling the efficiency of formation in absorbing vital energy and the amount of vitality between heaven and earth, after careful calculation, Song Wudao sighed lightly. Hey, I didn't expect the inheritance left by a detached person, just the amount of vitality needed to open it is so terrible. If it continues like this, I'm afraid it won't come down for 600 years. He was sad, this time span was a bit too long. At this time, the formation shook slightly, and gently leaked a very light and special Tao rhyme from the inside. The breath realm is very lofty and mysterious. Because this Daoyun breath is too shallow, if Song Wudao hadn't been standing next to the formation and paying attention all the time, he would not have been aware of it. Song Wudao's fingers trembled slightly, and he instinctively sensed that the scene represented by the rhyme aura was very terrifying. Then the smile on the corner of the mouth began to bloom. No wonder the opening of this inheritance took so long. It turns out that the content inside is too unusual. This made him look forward to it more and more. But, if you want to start this inheritance, you can only rely on time to grind. It's not that he didn't think about cracking the formation to open it, but even if he has the corresponding key in his body, reducing the difficulty of cracking by a bit, this formation is still not so easy to deal with. And if the Gentian ancestor who left the inheritance left behind any avengers to deal with those who want to break the formation, wouldn't he not pay for the gain? Even if the ancestor Gentian just set up the inheritance and self-destruction, it was enough for him to regret. Therefore, in order to be safe, we can only wait for the moment when the formation slowly moves and opens naturally. But fortunately, he has plenty of time and lifespan. After half a day passed, Song Wudao thoroughly observed the operation of this formation before turning around and leaving here. I don't know if sect's current crisis is over, he muttered to himself, occasionally thinking of the past. However, he was not worried. Before leaving, all the heavenly passes near sect would be solved by him. Before leaving, I felt that there were 2 Tianguan auras in the depths of sect, and these 2 Rime auras were in the same line as the Tianhe school. If sect can't survive this crisis in this way, then he has nothing to do. After all, this situation can be passed by any sect. The clouds scattered all over his body, the sky moved gradually, and Song Wudao was flying fast. Suddenly, there was a feeling of hunger in his eyes again. Is there something good below? He wondered, and then the power of the soul spread to cover the surrounding mountains, but he did not perceive any heavenly and mortal treasure's breath. Frowning his brows, he searched the neighborhood again, and then Song Wudao focused his eyes on a demon. Could it be it? But this is too weird, that's all about heavenly and mortal treasures, why even demons want to eat it? Song Wudao didn't know why he shook his head. Although a little disliked, these eyes are operated by instinct, and since they are needed, he has no choice but to satisfy them. In the blink of an eye, Song Wudao appeared on the ground. Not far away is a foreign body that looks like a cow or not a cow, like a horse or a horse, and covered with scales. At this time, it is crawling on the ground, eating a cultivator corpse. When the monster saw Song Wudao appear, he immediately turned his head and looked at him. Its eyes turned around, seeming to estimate Song Wudao's realm, to see if it can eat it. This behavior of eating in the bowl and watching the pot shows its greedy nature. The monster in front of him had no good intentions, but Song Wudao didn't care. He raised his index finger, and lightly swiped in front of him. A stunning knife light flashed past, illuminating the mountains and rivers in a trance. Laugh. Dongzon Realm's monster head and body separated, and black blood poured out and dripped all over the ground. The reason why he killed it was because Song Wudao had tried, and his pupils could not directly absorb living things. His mind moved slightly, the monster's corpse floated, and then a cloud of golden light condensed from above and flowed into his eyes. His eyes were slightly hot, and a flow of heat emerged, which was a different reaction from the previous absorption of heavenly and mortal treasures. It seems that heavenly and mortal treasures and demons have their own roles. Song Wudao felt it. He decided to see the effects of other demons. The power of the soul spread out, and then went to look for the traces of other demons. However, along the way, it seemed that the realm of the evil demon he encountered was too low, and his eyes didn't produce any desire, and the Dong Profound realm seemed to be the lowest standard. It's true, having absorbed so much essence of heavenly and mortal treasures, it's normal to be picky. While Song Wudao thought about it, a low realm demon appeared not far away. Since the demon's strength was too weak, he could kill it with a single thought, so he didn't take it seriously. Careful! Suddenly a shout came from his ear, and a flying sword flashed past him. In 3s and 2s, Flying Sword had killed the evil demon not far from Song Wudao. Song Wu has a touch of playfulness in Dao heart. Is this a misunderstanding? Not far from him, a young girl hurried over. The girl was dressed in a yellow dress, with a beautiful face and a gentle expression on her face. Are you okay? This fellow Taoist. It's okay, Song Wudao replied. He had seen the girl a long time ago, but the realm gap between the two was too big. The girl didn't attract his attention, but didn't want to seem to cause any misunderstanding. It was interesting. The girl approached, only then could he see Song Wudao's face clearly. Naturally disabled, she was surprised. Observing the man's realm breath, it seems to be no different from a mortal, but here is a magic mountain, and there are demons gathered around. Then the girl noticed that although Song Wudao looked simple, the material seemed to be expensive, and the clothes were not simple. Was framed. Otherwise, how could it be here, the girl guessed. If the other party is allowed to stay here, I am afraid that sooner or later it will become the belly of the evil spirits here. What should I do? The girl thought. Suddenly she trembled in her heart, thinking of her mother, who was also a natural disabled and whose life or death was uncertain, and she became sentimental. Song Wudao frowned. What happened to the girl? Cultivation base has reached the realm of heaven. For people like girls who are not high in cultivation base, he can vaguely feel their mood. Fellow Taoist, the people in Devil Dao are arresting the devil. You are very dangerous here, I will send you out. The girl spoke in a gentle voice, but there was a sense of firmness inexplicably. Devil Dao captures the devil. This aroused Song Wudao's interest. You might as well listen to the girl again. Okay, Song Wudao agreed. Soon, the girl grabbed Song Wudao's wrist without any explanation, and led him to go outside. And under the contact, he felt the strangeness of the girl. This kind of physique. Song Wudao hesitated inwardly. Because the girl held his wrist, part of his perception naturally penetrated into the girl's arm, directly feeling the extraordinary physique of the girl. Could it be everything? Everything was heard when Song Wudao was idle and bored listening to Jiyu Kaixuan's explanation of anecdotes from the outside world. According to Jiyu Kaixuan, this physique is one of the 9 major physiques of Taoism. In addition to the superb speed of Taoism and Qi, it is also naturally compatible with all things, and can easily appreciate the characteristics of all things. His understanding in this aspect is extremely powerful. Therefore, a person with this physique will be naturally suitable to take the path of a refiner. In addition, while this physique is super talented, the number is also very rare. In this world, the last 10,000 objects recorded still appeared thousands of years ago. At this time, among the dense forests and mountains, the figure of a young girl was pulling a young man swiftly. Her speed scared away a lot of birds and beasts, and she turned her eyes sideways. Seeing the sweat on the girl's forehead and the vital energy rapidly consuming in her body, Song Wudao couldn't help but ask. Are you worried? The girl looked solemn, but still replied softly in a sweet voice. Yes, I am going to the Forge City to participate in a refining competition. Time is a bit tight. But don't worry, time is still too late, I will get you settled first before going. Song Wudao's heart moved when he heard it, the refining contest. He even heard about this kind of thing for the first time, so he might as well ask. What is the refining contest? The girl looked as usual, she replied. The refining competition is a competition where refining masters gather together to test refining technology. The venue for this crafting competition is in the Yaori Plain in the Forge City. As if to relieve tension, the girl continued to talk to Song Wudao. In fact, this refining competition is particularly different. It was hosted by the Fei Xian Jian Pavilion in Super Product Sect. So this competition is not only very rich in prizes, but also very good in judging. The 6 great refining tools that are rarely seen on weekdays, the Great Master, came 3 at once. It can be said that this is a rare event for a refiner. The last time Super Product Sect was used to provide competition resources was 700 years ago, and that time was supported by Xiongzong. Now this opportunity is very rare. Through the girl's words, Song Wudao can easily tell that the girl is also a refiner. And it seems that the rank is not low, and he is very confident in himself. It seems that the girl is eager to participate. As for the girl's achievement in refining, Song Wudao felt that this was taken for granted. After all, the girl's physical talent was special. If she did not become a refining master, it was a loss for the girl and the world. Is it just Fei Xian Jian Pavilion and Ziyang Sect? This evokes Song Wudao's memories. When I heard these 2 names last time, when sect was in a big crisis, these 2 sects were the main creators of that crisis. In that turmoil, the 2 ancestors of the Tianguan realm of Ziyang sect were not only beheaded by him, but also let him obtain the secrets about the inheritance of the transcendence of Tianshan Mountain. But now, this is already 20 years ago. Time flies so fast. Refiner Great Master. What is Refiner Great Master? Song Wudao asked. In the hundreds of years of quiet cultivation of the Tianhe sect, he occasionally played a few swords. This is not only his hobby, but also a kind of relaxation besides cultivation, so he is interested in this aspect. For now, Song Wudao can be said to be a biased talent in terms of refining tools. He can be said to be extremely proficient in how to forge knives and tools, and the methods are also very sophisticated. But in other respects, it will be much worse. However, this is mainly because Song Wudao didn't try hard. As long as he wants to learn, because he has the foundation for forging knives, it will be very fast to forge other things to the same level. However, even though he could feel that he was extraordinary, he really had no idea what level he was in forging knives. On the way, Zhou Ziyi was surprised when he heard Song Wudao's words, but was also amused. "Fellow Taoist, don't you even know this?" Zhou Ziyi's light laughter came from the side. Song Wudao was expressionless and said, "Is this what most people should know?" Zhou Ziyi's laughter sounded again. She felt interesting. How could anyone in this world do not know this? However, there was a living example before her, but she was ignorant. Then Zhou Ziyi explained, "Fellow Taoist, you should know the classification of cultivation technique levels." "I know." Song Wudao nodded. Cultivation technique is divided into 3 realms and 9 ranks, of which the 3rd realm and 9th rank are the highest. There are also higher level cultivation technique divisions, but they are not known to the public. Hearing Song Wudao's answer, Zhou Ziyi continued. "The division of our refiner is similar. What level of magical item can be trained as what refiner realm? And the great master is a great person who can refine magical item beyond the 9th stage of the 3rd realm. Such a character can be said to be rare in the world." The girl was quiet, seeming to be talking to herself. "I wish I could reach that realm soon." Song Wudao didn't care. "Is it?" Song Wudao recalled his experience of forging knives. It seemed that the knives he had built had reached this point, and there were even a lot beyond. So he asked, "What about the Great Master?" "What is the Great Master?" "Above Great Master." Zhou Ziyi showed a distant and hopeful look on his face, then shook his head and said, "On top of the refining tool Great Master is the Grand Great Master. For the refiner, the Great Master is already very difficult to reach. And Grand Great Master, that is a legend. This world has not given birth to a Grand Great Master for at least 7,000 years. There is a huge gap between the refining tool Great Master and the Grand Great Master. I don't know if there will be a day when I can be promoted to the Grand Great Master." Song Wudao smiled and said, "Don't worry, if there are no accidents, you can." Zhou Ziyi didn't take it to heart, and just told her something nice. "Then borrow fellow Taoist auspicious words." She smiled. Soon, the two arrived at Forge City. Under Zhou Ziyi's stubbornness, she specially opened a mortal cave for Song Wudao, and then gave Song Wudao some property before she left. It was a long time before Song Wudao learned that Zhou Ziyi did this because she felt that she had been framed and entered near the magic mountain, so when she came to the city, she opened the immortal cave for him, mainly for him. For the sake of safety. In a certain immortal cave, Song Wudao was a little emotional. "It looks gentle, but it's actually firm. Very good character and really kind heart. Let's take a look at it, it is also a pastime." After that, his figure disappeared in a flash. At this time, there seemed to be an inexplicable voice in the void. "Ding! Host Forge City signed in successfully, get a junction hammer." Ding! The host successfully signed in the Forge City, and obtained a complete solution for the refining device. Gentian hammer, all refining tools. Song Wudao muttered to himself in a deserted place. In his hand he held a gray hammer with a simple and natural Dao Yun. At first this hammer looked very inconspicuous, but after Song Wudao carefully weighed it, he found that this hammer was actually of extremely high quality, and it was considered a sacred artifact. The sacred artifact is the magical item that can only be forged by the Grand Great Master, and the limit forged by the Great Master is the quasi-sacred artifact. Song Wudao waved twice and tried his hand. "Not bad," he said. However, what surprised him even more was a book called Refining Tools Complete Solution that appeared in his mind. Half of this book is the profound and mysterious refining theory, and the other part is a variety of forging operation examples and a description of experience. Song Wudao inferred that this could greatly improve his refinement level. The divine soul is running. With his current divine soul in the Tianguan realm, he can digest most of this book within a moment, and the remaining small part, as long as he hits the iron once, can pass the insight. After a brief insight, Song Wudao breathed a sigh of relief. Happy. According to other people's understanding, I should be at least a great master forge. Song Wudao was suddenly puzzled. Taiwei refining weapon technique and Xuanchen refining technique. These two things fit unexpectedly. But think about it, this is each half of a key. You can try to form a new refining method. In his mind, he relied mainly on two unique refining techniques, supplemented by the theory of knowledge on refining the complete solution, plus the scattered various refining techniques he had signed in over the years. These things are kneaded into a new refining method under a pair of big hands called experience. Seeing this very smooth formation, Song Wudao smiled. This method is his summary of various methods of refining, and then create it. It was also an eruption of insights since he refining tools for hundreds of years. So the method took shape very quickly. Although the details have yet to be improved, it can no longer affect the use. What's the name? He thought. It's called Bawang casting dafa. After all, the source of this method is very complicated. It has the meaning of 100 schools of law to cast the essence of Bawang Sihai refining artifacts. And think about it carefully. After having this method, maybe I can try to forge a weapon above the sacred weapon. Now the long knife in Song Wudao's hand is still left by the sword Saint Senior. The quality is barely enough to reach the saint level. Although it is enough, who does not want a better weapon, especially like Song Wudao walking on the road of swords? People. This is really exciting, Song Wudao said. Unconsciously, Song Wudao had already arrived in the Yaori plain of Casting City. There is a wide field of vision, the sky is blue, the clouds are pure white, and a group of people are gathering in a hustle and bustle, making introductory comments. Who is this girl named Zhou Zi? Which school? Why is the casting technique so powerful? Another person sighed. Genius, a rare genius. The realm that sees girls as the top of the foundation building, right? Can such a cultivation base cast a quasi-sacred artifact? No, Brother Dao's words are bad. Someone said. This quasi-sacred weapon's long sword embryo was used for the competition, and there is no stipulation on how long it will take to be cast. This girl may have spent a few years. Although the refiner generally does not require too much of the cultivation base, the great master, the pinnacle refiner of the foundation building, is too crazy. Brother Dao is right, the previous person replied. I was surprised by Meng Lang, but even so, Zhou Zi is still a peerless genius. It's amazing enough that she can enter the 3rd stage and 9th stage of refining in realm. With this kind of talent and strength, and with such exquisite works, I am afraid that she is the first place in this refining competition. And the Void Jade Talisman in Taishu Tower must also belong to Zhou Zi. Yes, many people exclaimed. They clearly saw a bright future star rising, and being able to witness this scene was enough for them to brag to others for a long time. Although from the 3rd stage of the 9th stage of the refinery, to set foot on the real refiner great master, there is still a long way to go between them, but they understand that this is hopeless for most refiners in their lives. On the way, the girl has at least more than half the probability to reach the end. The rise of the great master, a refining tool, they are honored with each other. On the other side, Song Wudao was slightly surprised. Now his skill of refining weapons and forging weapons has arrived in a new realm, so he understands better than before what kind of talent and effort it takes to achieve the 9th level of the 3rd realm at the pinnacle of the foundation building, and how lucky it is, become. And Zhou Zi, with his current realm and refining strengths, would forge the quasi-sacred artifacts. It would probably make ordinary people dumbfounded. This is not something that can be done without great wisdom and great perseverance. It seems that Zhou Zi is very concerned about the victory in this game. This is a voice that is full of air and arrogance, and the tone is very obvious, and it spreads to the surrounding at the same time. Now, I will announce the result for you. 1st place, Fei Xianjian Pavilion Mo Bi Yu Shan. 2nd place, Taishu Luluo Yinggran. 3rd, Zhou Zi. Quote. Hearing the result, the crowd quietly waiting for the result burst into flames. Some people feel incredible. How can this be? It's clear that Zhou Zi will be the 1st place. Unfair. The works created by the two geniuses of Feixianjian Pavilion and Taishu Tower can't be compared with Zhou Zi. This test is unfair. However, someone sneered around. Brother, don't report the injustice. The injustice in the refining contest is not 1 time or 2. To blame Zhou Zi for her lack of discipline and no power to give her the foundation. In this world, whether you are a genius or not, as long as there is no power behind you, you are born to be slaughtered. You know, some people have a noble status before they are born. Look at it, this week Zi will definitely be accepted as an apprentice by one of these two big forces. If Josie doesn't comply, there won't even be a reward for this third place. It's called rogue cultivators, not people, but dogs. They only deserve to eat leftovers. It seemed that he was used to seeing this kind of things, and this person even directly said the result. If you do the calculations carefully, after accepting the apprentice, the rewards given out are equivalent to giving to your own family, and you also received a high-level apprentice for free, and you also sold one apprentice. This made me take your place, and you still have to be grateful to me. The fertile water of high-ranking households never flows into outsiders' fields. And, do you think this is over? Look at Ziyi's talent, figure and face this week, and follow-up methods are waiting for her. The person next to him was dumbfounded and could not talk. Also, more, isn't that enough to bully people? On the side, someone was explaining Zhou Ziyi's current situation, and Song Wudao was also curiously listening. Look at Zhou Ziyime, right? Zhou Ziyi is now wearing a pale yellow silk skirt. He is standing tall, his skin looks like snow, bright red lips, and his eyebrows are soft and picturesque. Although he is still young, his graceful posture is already evident. The concave will grow into a big beauty in a few years, which can be clearly foreseen. Beautiful, the other person said lingeringly. Hey, such a beauty, coupled with Zhou Ziyi's talent, is very rare even in those super sects. What do you think will be the result of such a person entering those super sects? What? The other person came back to his senses, wondering why. Scramble. Song Wudao replied in his heart that such a thing was taken for granted. Zhou Ziyi is helpless and powerless, as well as brilliant and beautiful. This is a piece of sweet pastry, and everyone can't wait to take a bite. And in this competition, those who are eligible to participate are probably sects' direct line. In this day and night, even decades and hundreds of years of contention, the final outcome will almost certainly be Zhou Ziyi's commitment to one of them. Water droplets can still pierce through rocks, not to mention having been under tremendous pressure within super sect for many years. This is almost inevitable, and in the end, Zhou Ziyi is also very likely to be willing, or has to be bound to this sect. That's the terrible thing about this situation, the explainer said. Seeing this almost unsolvable situation where the sect forces must win, another person hesitated and asked. Then what if Zhou Ziyi refuses? Will this be able to escape her next destiny? Among the crowd, the award-winning place was finally announced, and the scene fell silent for a while, and they all looked at Zhou Ziyi with scorching eyes. Now she has become the focus of attention. Next, do you have any objections? Elder's arrogant voice spread everywhere. Surrounded by the crowd, Zhou Ziyi pressed his lips tightly and shouted. I object. The crowd was in an uproar. The refining competition has a pivotal position in the refining practitioners group. As long as one can get a place to participate, it is enough to make ordinary refining masters proud of it. What's more, this refining contest was held with the support of Super Product Sect, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. She is a girl with no school and no school. How dare to refute the result they set in the face of these refining tools, great masters, and the strength of super products? Not far from Song Wudao, the person who just explained continued, with mockery. Refuse. Then it would be easier. These super sects also have the great master, some of which are means to make Zhou Ziyi obediently. Wait, with the countless dirty methods behind these people, it will only make Zhou Ziyi live worse than he promised. She is a rogue cultivators that no one can rely on. As long as they are targeted by these masses, isn't she the only part to be cleaned up? It's no surprise that the individual disappeared suddenly. If you want to blame, you can only blame her for choosing to take the lead. On the other side, Zhou Ziyi continued to talk. The magical item level of the first and second place is clearly inferior to me. Why am I in third place? I should be the first. No one knows how long she has been preparing for this game, how hard she has been, and what kind of hard life she has had in the past few years. And all this is not for honor or wealth, but for being able to enter the Taishu building after winning the first place, and then borrow the world mirror. These are all in search of her long-missing mother. In the crowd, the sound of discussion sounded. This little Nizi, how dare to refute this result, she will die. Didn't she see that the first and second places are the people from the two major sponsoring forces of this refining competition? What's more, the first Mo Bushan and Great Master Mo Shi are both surnamed Mo. This is clearly inextricably linked. On the high platform, Zhao Tian, Nong Josie, and Mo Shan, the three great masters, all their complexions changed. The ranking in this competition was set by them, and to oppose this ranking is obviously to slap them in the face. Zhou Zi is teaching them to do things. I usually compliment the people who are used to listening. How can I stand this kind of rebuttal? Master Mo, is this little girl very arrogant? Nong Josie, with loose hair, said with an unhappy expression. Hee, I'm young, I haven't had any hardships, and made her think that she has great abilities. At this time, she should give her a chance and polish it up. Mo Shan, who was sitting on the main seat, said, he was the person in Fei Xianjian Pavilion, here he is the boss. He saw many people like this who relied on his talent to oppose him recklessly, and in the end they still succumbed to him. Dealing with this kind of inexperienced little girl film is really easy to catch. As for the catch, hey, she has to pay something. Yeah, this girl's talent is not bad, although the method of doing things is not right, but now is the right time to correct it. I'll take care of this, so that she knows what rules are, said Zhao Tian on the side. In the words of several people, Zhou Zi is clearly a girl who doesn't know the so-called yellow hair, and she must correct her mistakes. And her talents are just not bad. These people have been in high positions for many years, and they have long forgotten how they looked when they were young, and that their talents are far worse than Zhou Zi. Mo Shan nodded, thanks to Master Zhao. Turning a glance at the crowd, he secretly resented him, a group of mobs. Where? Zhao Tian stood up and walked forward. He was familiar with this matter. As long as he was deceived and bluffed, with the name and prestige of the refining tool great master, who could not believe him? So Zhao Tian squinted at Zhou Zi and said, you know, why do we want you to be third, so you object? The surrounding people were silent, and most of them had doubts in their eyes. Yes, in their eyes, this is also an equally absurd thing. They are all cultivators, so how can they not understand the importance of quasi-sacred artifacts? Even if this is just an embryonic prototype, it is far better than the magical item of the 9th stage of the 3rd stage. What's more, the 1st and 2nd place just announced, only the 4th rank and 5th rank magical item of the 3rd realm were refined. At this time, Zhao Tian pointed his finger at the embryo of the long sword that Zhou Zi had created. It was a prototype of a sword weapon that was silver white all over, with a magical rhyme, and unconsciously blooming invisible and murderous. It can make people obsessed with it. That's because this long sword embryo can't continue to be formed. In other words, it is dead. As soon as this sentence came out, it exploded before everyone's eyes like a thunder. Zhou Zi looked wrong. And Zhao Tian smiled that he was about to succeed. Could it be that the long sword embryo created by Zhou Zi is stillborn? No one understands the refining of quasi-holy artifacts better than the great masters. It seems that Zhou Zi is out of luck. With a stillborn child in the competition, I can still get to 3rd place. The great masters are already tolerant enough. Zhou Zi misunderstood. The trend of public opinion on the scene suddenly changed, and it was a very reasonable thing for Zhou Zi to become 3rd. However, Zhou Zi's face was surprised and unbelievable. As the refiner of the quasi-sacred artifact embryo, she is familiar with the prototype of this sword qi. With her mysterious feeling at the moment of refining, she can be sure that the things she refines are not dead. On the other hand, Song Wu's Dao heart is also full of puzzles. If a good quasi-sacred embryo is described as a failure like this, anyone will believe it. Don't those people feel the mysterious Taoist rhyme on the long sword embryo? Is it true that the other person is blind, or is the person speaking a fool? No, the long sword embryo I refined can't be dead. Zhou Zi shouted. Although his face was pale and weak, and sweat dripped, there was a touch of precious perseverance between his brows. There was a commotion in the crowd. Zhou Zi was too courageous, and even dared to confront the great master on the spot. However, if what Zhou Zi said is true, then the matter can be settled. At this time, Zhao Tian, who noticed everyone's gaze, didn't panic at all, but he felt like he was holding the winning ticket. He understands that the more confident at this time, the more people will believe him, and everything will be easier after that. So he said loudly, "No, what do you use to prove that you are right? Hey, read it when you are young. As long as you can prove it on the spot, I will take my words back. But if you can't prove it, The unkindness in Zhao Tian's words is very obvious, but everyone takes it for granted. There was a huge gap between the two of them. Of course, they would have to pay a price if they collided with such a refiner, the great master. Zhou Ziyi's face was pale, and his knuckles were pinched to make his debut. She is a cultivation base at the pinnacle of the foundation building. How could this embryo be turned into a quasi-sacred weapon? And it is unrealistic to find another great master, not to mention whether she is willing to help her, even time is too late. There are secret methods for verification, but these are basically in the hands of the super-grade forces. Where can she find them? So this is a dead question with no solution at all, and the other party is determined that she doesn't have this ability, and only then came up with such a seemingly fair condition. Everyone looked at Zhou Ziyi, wondering in their hearts. You are the proof. Since you can refine it, why not prove it? Their eyes became more and more contemptuous. Maybe it was really dead like Master Zhao said. Zhou Ziyi was really too courageous. He dared to take a stillbirth to the competition, and wanted to win the first place by relying on it, and to win both fame and fortune. Stillbirth is worthless and can only be recast and refined for other things. Faced with this situation, the masters are already tolerant enough. She didn't abolish her results in accordance with the rules of the competition. She even dared to raise them. Everyone looked at Zhou Ziyi. It was really not wanting face. Tears flickered in his eyes. Zhou Ziyi felt a huge grievance and injustice. Reluctantly held back the tears and cheered for himself. She still has to work hard to find her mother's trace, and she must get the first place this time. Do not. The quasi-sacred vessel embryo I refined is good. It is not a stillbirth. It's just that I'm now. Enough. Suddenly, behind Zhao Tian there was a loud cry. Look at what you are now. As an anonymous rogue cultivators, I don't accept the assessment of our 4 great refiners, the great master. As a result, I can't prove it by myself. Not only that, but also repeatedly confronted the commander. Without discipline, lawlessness, what place do you think this is? It was Mo Shan who spoke, and he continued. Do you think that you are the only one who knows how to refine tools in this world? Is it your little girl who understands the doorway here, or the 4 of us? I want to treat others as fools, and don't look at what I am. Everyone underneath was silent, afraid to speak, and the great master at the top of the refiner became angry. Zhou Ziyi is confused by eyes reveal. Is her perception wrong? Perception during refining is a very mysterious thing. No one can say that own perception must be right. But she did not believe that she was wrong. Chen Ming. Mo Shan shouted, this is Elder who presided over the game. Get this crazy girl out of me and cancel her quota. With a bang, Zhou Ziyi was dumbfounded as thunder blasted in his ears. Cancellation of grades and cancellation of quota are 2 kinds of punishment. According to the original rules, even if Zhou Ziyi's grades are cancelled, she can still apply for a replacement and compete again, and the quota will be cancelled. This means that Zhou Ziyi has completely lost the opportunity to participate in the competition. Everyone sighed. Zhou Ziyi was indeed very talented, but he didn't know what was good or bad. He repeatedly confronted the great masters, and he deserved it. Master Mo, calm down, the young man has a big temper, this girl is still very talented. Nong Zhouzi came over and said, then he turned his gaze at Zhou Ziyi. Quick, hurry up and kneel down to apologize to Master Mo, so that you can still keep your ranking. Don't be ignorant. Zhou Ziyi bit his lip severely, not knowing what to think. No, I didn't lie, I do feel that I can succeed. Able to succeed. Zhao Tian's expression changed, and he shouted sharply. Stubborn, don't you know what's wrong? Madness. In Zhao Tian's view, this girl is too stubborn and does not know how to advance or retreat. She must be severely suppressed, and then she can be used to them. What about genius if it is not used by them? The more genius you are, the more you must suppress it, or else it will ride on their necks sooner or later. How could they threaten their own position? Suppress geniuses, this is the reason why people like them can stay on top of the refiner for a long time. In this world, for thousands of years, geniuses have been like a Crucian carp who crossed the river. Countless pasts have proved that their actions are right. If you can't get it, then she should be ruined. Come here. Cancel her qualification this time. She is not allowed to come to participate again in the future. Soon, Elder Chen Ming, who hosted the game, stood up and said. Zhou Ziyi, now your qualification has been cancelled and all ranking rewards have been erased. You, do it for yourself. Zhou Ziyi only felt that her eyes were dark, and it seemed that the world was about to turn over. After a while, she felt better. Everyone looked at her, whose body was shaking slightly, and there was no sympathy in her eyes. These sights were like inserting a knife into Zhou Ziyi's body, making her desperate. She must get the first place, or she can't find her mother at all by relying on her alone strength. But the reality is already like this. What should she do at this time? Can anyone come to save her? I don't know what it is, it's all right now, there is nothing left. Hurry up with your dead sword embryo and get out. It looks so good, but it turns out to be a female liar. After Zhou Ziyi's disqualification was announced, everyone ridiculed immediately. Under the coercion of the three great refining tools, the great master, reprimanding Zhou Ziyi has become a correct behavior, and no one can help stepping on their feet. Others don't think there is any problem. They feel that they haven't competed with a dead body, and they are not forgiving, so they are morally higher than Zhou Ziyi. It is precisely because they feel that they are morally higher than Zhou Ziyi, so they can mock each other at will. However, this kind of ridicule happened to constitute an innocent oppression of Zhou Ziyi. Hey! A voice rang from the crowd, as if feeling something. The people underneath are ignorant and ignorant, while the great masters above are evil intentions. Poor Zhou Ziyi was originally talented enough to dominate the crowd, and his ability was exceptional. He could create a quasi-artifact sword embryo at a young age, but now he has to be fooled and ridiculed by this villain. Song Wudao saw clearly that the long sword embryo created by Zhou Ziyi was dead, and could not live anymore. According to Song Wudao's speculation, if the materials used in this sword embryo were not very general, its quality could be improved a bit. But it is such a thing, but it must be reprimanded as rubbish. This made Song Wudao couldn't help but doubt. What is going on in this world is too magical. In fact, Song Wudao is understandable for everyone's performance. In his eyes, these people are average in realm, and their talents in refining tools can hardly be called excellent, so it is not surprising that these mediocre people can't understand Zhou Ziyi's genius. These unremarkable characters like weeds, just ignore them. As a person, you don't need to compete with a group of weeds. However, those refiners, great masters, really shouldn't do this. Can they still be unclear about Zhou Ziyi's level? Song Wudao walked forward, past the crowd, and walked towards the sword embryo cast by Zhou Ziyi. And the people around are ignorant, as if they hadn't noticed. Zhou Ziyi is very kind. I saw a blind person in Moshan before, who might be in deep danger, so he immediately rescued him. Then he escorted him all the way to Forge City, rented a room for him, and gave him some basic belongings. And this is still in the case that she has a big competition to be anxious to participate in. This kind of situation can be so thorough in doing good things. What a good child. Such people are talented and should not be buried. Song Wudao was walking, and suddenly, an angry shout came, seeming to be shocked just now. Who are you? Zhao Tian shouted. He looked at Song Wudao, who suddenly appeared in dismay, shocked. This person actually walked so far out of the crowd under his nose, and he realized it. This concealment ability, if used to assassinate, he shuddered. Following Zhao Tian's shout, everyone followed his eyes and saw Song Wudao. They reacted almost the same as Zhao Tian, but the fluctuations were much smaller. Immediately they were puzzled. A blind man. What realm? When did this person come and why did they notice? Bold. Who made you break in? Elder Chen Ming, who presided over the game, shouted, and immediately he was about to move Song Wudao out, but Great Master Mo Shi reached out to stop him. Wait a moment. This person can make people unable to detect his figure in front of so many people. Realm strength is probably very difficult. Let's see what he wants to do. Don't easily conflict with him. Yes, Chen Ming replied in a low voice. Mo Shi nodded in satisfaction, not easily offending any master. It was his survival criterion, and also one of the reasons why he was able to get along for so many years. At the same time, Zhou Ziyi also saw Song Wudao appear, and her head was a little dazed by the sudden unexpected situation. Isn't this the person he rescued near the Magic Mountain? What did he come here for? Why did he suddenly appear again? Until then, everyone noticed that the end of Song Wudao's direction was the sword embryo created by Zhou Ziyi. Everyone is a little unclear, so what are we going to do now? But Mo Shi faintly noticed something was wrong, but he didn't know why this feeling was, so he asked. I don't know who fellow Taoist is, what do you do if you come here? I'm Mo Shi, the refining tool of the Flying Fairy Sword Pavilion. It's better for fellow Taoist to come over and have a cup of tea. Song Wudao didn't answer, as if he didn't hear it. The scene was a bit cold for a while, and then changed. Half of the people were secretly guessing Song Wudao's purpose, and the other half were accusing Song Wudao of unruly. But none of them would shoot Song Wudao. Just now, Song Wudao could sneak such a long distance under everyone's eyelids unknowingly, which was enough to prove his strength. Someone looked cold and said, Mo Great Master, do you want me to try? Need not. Mo Shihan didn't care, just do what Song Wudao is going to do. Anyway, there are some worthless objects in the field. As for Song Wudao, who is a great master of refiner, and wants to help Zhou Zi, Mo Shi didn't think about it at all. He has seen the great master, the refining tool in this world, how could he just pop up one casually, and he just happened to help Zhou Zi again. On the other side, Zhou Zi looked at Song Wudao with red eyes full of confusion, wondering if he should say something. At this moment a voice suddenly rang in her mind. Don't worry, I will help you. This was Song Wudao's voice, Zhou Zi could hear it. Although she didn't know how to help, whether she could help, it still gave her full comfort in a difficult situation. At this moment, she only felt that Song Wudao's voice was like an elder, soothing her soul. But she soon became worried about Song Wudao. At this time, Song Wudao finally walked to Sword Embryo. The moment he picked up the sword embryo, a simple and heavy hammer appeared in his hand at the same time. Song Wudao held it up high. Is he going to forge? Is it impossible to make a quasi-sacred instrument? Someone said sarcastically. It's just the next moment, everyone was shocked. When the hammer was lifted, the vitality between heaven and earth suddenly gathered here, and an unknown flame began to flow from the body of the sword. Sky fire, someone exclaimed. This is a vision that only the most sophisticated refining tool, the Great Master, can produce. Once this vision comes out, it means that this forging must be extraordinary. This is the Great Master Refiner, it can't always be the Great Master Refiner. Everyone discussed eagerly. Then, the hammer swung down. Boom, the sound of the hammer smashing the metal sounded. The earthquake trembled for a while, the white clouds swelled, and the wind rushed all over the world, hitting everyone in the face straight. And their footsteps became shaky, as if standing unsteady. Only Zhou Zi was protected by a force, unscathed. Who is this man? The exclamation of the crowd continued one after another. They looked at the firelight in the distance as if they could not breathe, and the scene there seemed to carry the longing of the refiners for nearly a lifetime. On the opposite side, the sky fire melted into the void, and within 3 meters it seemed to be illuminated by the sunset, and the area was smoldering red. Song Wudao's body was also stained bright red. The simple and heavy hammer seems to carry the power of a mighty force. The hammer fell, sparks flew out, and the red sword embryo was shaped by the mighty force of nature, chiseled, carved, milled, kneaded, under a pair of invisible giant hands, it gradually took shape. Boom, boom, the sound of falling hammers came one after another, and everyone was dazzled. This unexpected forging concealed the stunning beauty, and that was the silent road that clearly revealed its traces at this moment. At this moment, their hearts were beating willingly with the sound of the falling hammer, and the movement of their lives was beyond surging in this sword making. What they saw was no longer a scene of forging, but a kind of zen. At this moment, they had no other thoughts, only satisfaction. They wished to indulge in this forging forever and die without regrets. The hammer was swung down, and it seemed that it was not a simple sword embryo that was shaped by the beating, but their lives. The power of heaven and earth. Zhou Ziasheng was able to stay awake, muttering to himself unconsciously. The vitality from all directions of heaven and earth are rushing forward, the heaven and the earth are connected with sword embryo, and the world resonates. The sound of the hammer falling, like an ancient song, came to the world again after 7,000 years. Hello. The 3 refiners, the Great Master, were surprised and dare not to be sure. They themselves went very far with the refining device. Although they were equally surprised by Song Wudao's forging skills, they did not lose their minds and fell into a situation where they could not extricate themselves. Mo Shi and Zhao Tian looked at each other as if they were allowed to cast this way. Their reputation would be greatly damaged, and I am afraid they would become the laughingstock of everyone. This is unbearable for them. So they each understood each other's thoughts. Taking advantage of the fact that everyone is obsessed with this forging, their perception has declined, and Song Wudao is also busy and has no time for him, so they might as well do it quietly. Then he unconsciously sabotaged this forging to achieve the purpose of preserving interests. Just the next moment, they were shocked in a cold sweat and their faces turned pale. They were horrified to see that Song Wudao's Taoist rhyme after he went all out in the late-stage forging was so terrifying. Ancestor Tianguang. This person turned out to be a peerless master of the Skylight realm. The color of horror in their eyes became more intense, their hearts pounding, and they were afraid after a while. If they had just started quietly, they couldn't imagine. At that time, regardless of whether the forging of the Tianguan powerhouse failed or not, he would definitely be aware of their actions. The scene offended a heavenly pass realm, and they were afraid that they didn't know how to die. The celestial pass is too terrifying. This kind of person exists as the true foundation of super sect. Unless there is a shocking change or a very important thing, this kind of person will never appear. However, is this really the heavenly pass realm? As far as Mo Shi knows, most of the ancestors of Tianguan are trapped by a certain important office between heaven and earth, and it is extremely rare to go out once. And how could it be so easy to meet an ancestor of the celestial pass in this small refining competition? Mo Shi meditated, fearing that the Daoyun aura just now was just a mystery of the other party. Suddenly at this moment, someone shouted, "Look what that is!" Everyone looked to the sky, still obsessed with their eyes. "Vision," shouted the person who knew the goods. "What? It's really a vision." Above the sky, the sun and the moon appeared together, and the stars came to the world, dividing the sky into half deep and dark, and half full of day. The sword weapon in Song Wudao's hand suddenly rang, and the water of Tianhe appeared, and the waves were rushing, majestic and magnificent, rolling with huge waves. In the end, it fell into the world, but turned into a bay of Qinghong, scouring down at Song Wudao's hand that had been beaten and burnt with red swords. The constant buzzing sounded, and after the clear spring from the sky was quenched, the long sword completed the last process. Everyone looked at the long sword, and saw that it was like the most perfect artwork in the world, a secret treasure left by the heavens, and the most precious artifact they had seen in their lives. Om! The long sword clanked, and a white rainbow-like sword chi rushed straight into the sky. When the earth reached the sky, the white cloud was chopped into hundreds of thousands of strands, so that it immediately disappeared. At this time, it seemed that the dust had been cleared, and the world was empty. Then the sword body trembled violently, as if possessing some kind of spirituality, wanting to break free. Inspired by Song Wudao, the rhymes of Taoist rhyme continued to escape, firmly holding the sword in his hand, and under the eruption of an earth-shaking might, the long sword screamed sadly and quieted down. Seeing this scene, some people were astonished at Song Wudao's strength, and Mo Shi and others looked even more ugly. This person is undoubtedly a peerless powerhouse in the Heavenly Pass. And this senior is probably not only a powerhouse in the Heavenly Pass, but also a holy tool-level refiner. His method of forging swords is too subtle. Seeing that this forging almost ruined my long-term refining concept. It's terrible, terrible, Zhao Tian said. Nong Josie nodded and looked at the people. They, the great masters of refiners, almost indulged in entering, and these people would only be even more embarrassed. As he expected, everyone underneath had already wailed, as if they had lost the most important thing and could never find it again. With such a level of obsession, I am afraid that the sight of Song Wudao creating magical item this time will become a nightmare for him all his life, and this person will never think of going forward too much on the refining device for the rest of his life. Song Wudao's forging is too close to the main road, and it is a curse or a blessing for these people with too low realm to meet. But what surprised Nong Josie was that although Josie's realm was also very weak, but after seeing these scenes, nothing happened, and he looked bright in his eyes and full of expression. Sure enough, he was a genius, he secretly sighed. I think this senior's method is from Ziyang sect, Zhao Tian said, with doubts. No, I never heard that there is such a character in Ziyang sect. Mo Shi said, he has acquaintances in Ziyang sect, and he knows the ancestors who are good at refining tools in Ziyang sect. I see. Nong Josie groaned and said tentatively. It's not so much like the Xuanchen refining method of the Ziyang sect, it is more similar to the Taiwei casting technique of the Tianhe sect's refining mountain. Quote. Of course, the similarities are more about the way of dealing than the specific means. He added. After saying this, the other two were taken aback, thinking about it, and it was indeed correct to make Josie. However, Tianhe sect was closed down long ago after the early changes. Their doubts are right. Song Wudao's casting method is indeed based on Taiwei casting weapons as the main framework, and then built by absorbing other refining methods. It can be called Weibeifa as a furnace, so it has the name of Bawang. However, the reason why Song Wudao used Taiwei forging weapons all the time, so he has a deep trace of Tianhe sect's Lianbing mountain. Isn't the lineage of Tianezong Lianbing mountain almost cut off? Where did such a master come from? The three of them were puzzled, and carefully recalled the process of Song Wudao just building the long sword. Everywhere is permeated with the wonderful movements of the road, so that they are convinced. The speed of this caster is too fast. It only takes half a quarter of an hour to cast a powerful sword weapon. I have only seen it in my life. I haven't seen anyone can do this level. And it can cast a quasi-holy artifact into a holy artifact. Speaking of this, the three of them held their breath. Such an ability is very rare even in the Grand Great Master. What's more, from the perspective of Song Wudao's Daoyun, he is still a peerless powerhouse in the Heavenly Pass. How can this not be shocking? Throughout the ages, with regard to refining and cultivation, to be able to take one of the two roads to such a realm has required unimaginable effort. Not to mention both. I am afraid that the person in front of him, even among the ancestors of Tianguan, is a monster-like existence. And to meet such a character is probably the greatest chance in their life. The eyes moved slightly, and the hearts of the three of them became fierce. However, why did he shoot this long sword? They were puzzled. The other side, sword chi gradually declined, but just now, the sun, the moon and the stars appeared together. The vision that day and night occupy half of the sky, still amazed everyone. At this time, someone reacted. This is an artifact. What this person cast is an artifact. Everyone could not exclaim. After 7,000 years, the Grand Great Master of the refining device once again came to the world. This is an important deed that can be written into the history of a world. However, what made them even more surprised was that they slowly discovered that this refiner Grand Great Master was not only unique in terms of refinement, but also a peerless powerhouse in the Heavenly Pass. The news detonated everyone and made them forget about it. However, it was soon noticed that this matter is not simple. They guessed that the reason why this peerless powerhouse and refiner, Grand Great Master, just shot. Are you going to help Josie? But why is this? Could there be any important connection between the two? Others have noticed another fact. Just now, this refiner Grand Great Master cast Josie's sword embryo into a sacred tool. This also proves that the sword embryo cast by Josie is alive. If sword embryo is dead, even the gods are saved. This kind of thing is not as simple as recasting, but it is equivalent to turning one thing into another again. The difficulty is close to being out of nothing. Dead sword embryo can only be recovered by refining the material. Everyone's eyes looked at the former three great masters, who had confirmed that the sword embryo was dead, and now the facts are clear. These three refiners, the great master, made a mistake in their judgment. Poor Josie, who has a peerless talent for casting, was almost buried by these three people. The famous pearl was in the dust. How wronged it should be. Feeling everyone's gaze, the great master of Sanwei refining device reacted. This one was clearly helping Josie. How could this happen? The three were upset. However, at this moment, Song Wudao's face was aimed at them. The three of them immediately turned into a smiling face, regardless of whether this person was really blind or falsely blind, really invisible or invisible, they all needed to put on a smiling face. Regardless of their strength, status, or possible influence, they are far behind this one by an order of magnitude, and they can't even match the other's little finger. They must be in awe. Sometimes, one realm is higher than the realm, which is very different. What's more, this one is not a little bit higher than them. And in case, if this person is just in a good mood and wants to perform with the sword embryo, then they may have some chance to give this opportunity to them. Fortunately, They all moved their eyes at the same time and saw the three people pleased with smiling faces, and some eyes revealed disdain. At this time Qin Feng said, "The three of you, describe this high-quality sword embryo as a dead thing. It's a waste of yours, you are still the great master. For my own sake, to destroy a refining genius. You are worthy of the magical item that you trained in your hands. Are you worthy of the right in your hands? You don't have refining equipment at all." There was a thunder, as if thunder was blasting in the ears, and the three of them were pale, their fingers trembling, and cold sweats on their foreheads. Losing face is second, and the most important thing is that this person gave them a certain judgment, and with this ability, the world cultivator may believe it is true, a hat of depravity, they may not be able to take it off in this life. And the result after that, they seem to have foreseen it. These three people turned out to be such a virtue, and they looked like dogs when they were in peace. How many geniuses have been ruined before? That is, the three of them almost made a big mistake this time. With Zhou Ziyi's talent, it is very possible to impact the Grand Great Master. Everyone said, but the three knew that this was not over yet, and all their positions in sect might be over, and their financial path would be cut in half. Other people don't trust them, so naturally they won't find them to refine tools. In this case, the means of subsistence are abandoned, how can they be good? They gritted their teeth secretly, but they could only bear it, and the other party was not someone they could afford. You can't mess with it at all. At the same time they are also indecisive. Do you want to try to save it? If the attempt is successful, they can at least reduce the loss by half, and although it still hurts them, it will not kill them. Ruthlessly, Mo Shi stood up and said in a deep voice, "Senior, this time we made a mistake in our judgment. We were wrong. We were taught sincerely. Senior was asked to calm down and we will correct it. Let's change Zhou Ziyi to the first place. If the senior has any requirements, we will definitely meet them." Song Wudao hesitated to say something but stopped, whether he wanted to be more honest with the other party. Then I thought of Zhou Ziyi's desire for the first place in the game, although I don't know why, but now that it is already like this, it's better to get together and don't ruin Zhou Ziyi's affairs. Otherwise, it would violate his original intention to help Zhou Ziyi. The reason why he shot this time is because he admires the little girl Zhou Ziyi very much, kind and talented, and has a relationship with him, so he doesn't mind helping. Finally, Song Wudao hummed coldly, "Oh, if you want to commit another crime, and I find out, you should wait for the heavy punishment. In the days to come, I hope you will do it for yourself." The cold sweat on the three of them has become heavier. It seems that in the future, I have to abide by the law and do less small movements, otherwise I will become very miserable for the rest of my life and those who have a relationship with him. On the other side, Zhou Ziyi knew he was still in a daze, like a dream. Am I the number one? Zhou Ziyi was ignorant, and she was only surprised when she saw Song Wudao suddenly appear from the very beginning. When she heard Song Wudao's voice saying that she wanted to help her, she was being reprimanded and degraded by everyone, and she felt desperate because of missing the first place. Her heart was very warm and moved. It's just that she is very worried about Song Wudao's safety. After all, this is the most important competition for the refiner, and ordinary people are not allowed to be wild and presumptuous. However, when Song Wudao really wielded that simple and heavy hammer, she was attracted in an instant, and then she was deeply shocked. How can there be such a wonderful forging technology in this world? After that, when the senior who had little to do with her really reprimanded the three great masters on the stage for her, so that she got the first place she deserved, she couldn't be more moved. She and this senior can be said to meet each other in peace, but she had tried to help the senior in a nosy, but it was still an oolong. Unexpectedly, this senior did such an important thing for her, giving her the opportunity to use the ranking of this competition to find own mother. There were tears in Zhou Ziyi's eyes, she raised her hand to wipe, and smiled again. You guys do it for yourself. The senior's voice came. Although it was very harsh to others, it was only warm to Zhou Ziyi. Senior. Zhou Ziyi came over with tears and wiped away the tears again. To express her gratitude, she bowed deeply. Senior, thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to get the first place in this competition, and I would be able to find my mother. Really, Senior, thank you so much. Zhou Ziyi was so excited that his body trembled, and said, Song Wu's Dao heart suddenly realized, and he understood why Zhou Ziyi wanted to be number one in this competition. It turned out to be looking for a mother, really a good boy. At the same time, Song Wudao also felt this very pure gratitude, which on the contrary made him feel a little vain. In fact, he just did it smoothly. He didn't even use 1% of his ability to do this, and then it was solved. This made him a little ashamed. I can only blame these people for confessing too quickly. He just built a long sword very casually, and he knelt on the opposite side. Too fragile. Song Wudao turned his head in disgust, and faced the three refiners' great master as if dissatisfied. The three of them trembled. What's wrong with this one? Have they done something wrong? In the future, we must follow senior's instructions and behave well, they thought. Then Mo Shi walked over, spoke kindly, and put a smile on Zhou Ziyi and said, "Zhou fellow Taoist, this is your Void Jade Talisman. With this Jade Talisman, you can choose a holy artifact from the Void building to use." Mo Shi's tone was humble, and he no longer looked so arrogant. No matter what is going on, Zhou Ziyi is able to hook up with this person, then she deserves to be treated like this. Yeah, Zhou Ziyi replied, not looking excited, because she understood that all of this was obtained because of Senior. So she controlled her excitement, just keeping in mind her gratitude to Senior. This great grace should be carved into the heart. I choose Heaven and Earth Mirror. Zhou Zi said in a second. Heaven and Earth Mirror. Mo Shi was puzzled, and everyone in the audience was the same. Everyone who aspires to be number one in the big competition is to use the sacred artifacts that have been passed down for a long time to ascension own strength, or to increase the perception of the Great Road, and very few people will choose the Heaven and Earth Mirror. Are you sure you want to use the Heaven and Earth Mirror? Although the Heaven and Earth Mirror is very useful in exploring Secret Realm, it has a limited effect after all, and it is impossible to obtain amazing opportunities. In order to ensure that Zhou Ziyi would not make that unhappy because of his dissatisfaction, Mo Shi said more. I want to use it to check the whereabouts of my mother after her disappearance. Zhou Ziyi replied. The audience was surprised. It turned out to be so. Girl Ziyi is really filial. And people are pretty. Regardless of the noise of the people below, Mo Shi said to Zhou Ziyi. Yes, come with me. So Zhou Ziyi saluted Song Wudao. Then Senior, I'll go first. Well, go ahead, Song Wudao replied. I wish you news from your mother. Yeah, Zhou Ziyi's heart was warm, and she almost shed tears. She immediately arranged her appearance and followed Mo Shi's figure, her eyes full of hope. About half an hour later, Zhou Ziyi walked back again. And the disappointment in her eyes was utterly uttered, her face seemed to be exerting force to prevent the tears in her eyes from falling. How is it? Song Wudao asked casually, but he showed concern. Soon, without Zhou Ziyi's words, he understood the approximate result. Senior, my mother is dead. Died a long time ago. Seeing Song Wudao, Zhou Ziyi seemed to have seen a reliable elder, tears welled up in his eyes. She was still very strong before, and the eyes of everyone shed tears again. Song Wudao had a headache. He couldn't see such a nice little girl shed tears, but it was the second time. What should I do? Sorry, I believe your mother will be pleased to see you so good in the spirit of heaven. He tried to say something but was not satisfied, and planned to do something more. Okay, Senior, Zhou Ziyi replied while crying, and it took a long while before she managed to clean up her mood. She has remembered who her enemy is. Thunder Prison Demon Sect. Her hatred will definitely be reported. After a while, Mo Shi, who returned with Zhou Ziyi, asked. Well, fellow Taoist Zhou, do you still want to be a teacher? No, even if I don't know where to go now, I won't be apprenticed to you. Ah, good, Mo Shi replied a little embarrassingly, but he didn't expect this little girl to worship them as a teacher, he just wanted to improve his image in front of this one. This is what he should please. At this time, Song Wudao's voice rang in due course. You have nowhere to go. Zhou Zi obediently replied, yes. Before I came out, in order to build Sword Embryo, I sold everything that could be sold. Now there is only money left to stay in the inn for a few days. Song Wudao recalled that Zhou Ziyi gave own the money, which was more than enough for him to live in the inn for 10.5 months. This little girl is really self-sacrificing. In Song Wudao's eyes, Zhou Ziyi became more and more lovely. Well then, if you don't have a place to go, you might as well live in Tianhe sect first. Mo Shi next to him heard that the senior secretly came from the refining mountain line of the Tianhe sect. Ah, Zhou Ziyi showed a surprised expression. She originally thought that her fate with senior was exhausted, but she didn't expect senior to be so enthusiastic. Okay, senior, let me go anywhere. She couldn't wait to answer. Send senior. On the Yaori plain, the cultivators respectfully shouted when Song Wudao took Zhou Ziyi away. To meet this senior, and to see the vision of the sun and the moon this time, they have been fortunate for 3 lives. As for being able to have a greater connection with this senior, only Zhou Ziyi is qualified, everyone thought. Hey, what do you think is the relationship between this senior and Zhou Ziyi? I don't know, but the two didn't seem to know each other before. Then you said, is it possible that this senior is looking at Zhou Ziyi and wants to accept her as a disciple? Between the sea of clouds, Song Wudao and Zhou Ziyi were wrapped in vitality, turned into a rainbow, and flew away from Forge City. Front, senior, did I take you from the Demon Mountain to the Forge City before? Was it too self-assertive? Zhou Ziyi asked hesitantly. At this moment, her emotions eased, and she felt very ashamed when she thought of helping without authorization. I am a small cultivator of the Foundation Building realm, and I want to help this peerless strongman in the Tianguan realm who has not known how long he has lived. Too overwhelming. And it's affectionate. How stupid she is to think that she can help this big senior. Senior, didn't you delay your business before? Seeing Zhou Ziyi cautiously, for fear of doing something wrong, Song Wudao felt funny. He said, it's okay, it's just that there is a destined person around me, who stayed in the Forge City for a while. Zhou Ziyi breathed a sigh of relief. That's it. Wait, senior, am I destined? She said in surprise. Well, what's the matter? No, nothing, just very happy. Zhou Ziyi seemed to be caught off guard. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Song Wudao shook his head slightly, just because he was predestined with him. Moreover, fate is a wonderful thing. If it weren't for Zhou Ziyi who didn't take the initiative to help him, he would have missed it, and if Song Wudao hadn't become interested in her, the two would have missed it. If Zhou Ziyi was not in a helpless situation, it would still be missed. There are many if, as long as there is an error, the results may be very different. So how could there be no predestined relationship between the two? Give you. Song Wudao handed Zhou Ziyi the sacred long sword that he had just created in front of everyone. Zhou Ziyi comprehended, but confiscated, but hurriedly shouted. No, no, no. Senior, it's all your credit that this sacred instrument can be forged. I am only able to realize my wish only with your light. How can I accept this anymore? She is sincere and sincere. The senior is so unpredictable on the refining tool. If she hadn't used the longsword embryo she created, she might be able to forge a better sacred tool. No, with senior's ability, he will surely forge better weapons. The thought that she might have dragged senior's back, she couldn't accept it even more. Song Wudao shook his head. The embryo of this long sword was originally forged by you bit by bit. Without me, you would forge it into shape sooner or later. I just helped you with this. And you didn't see it. I don't use the sword, I will leave it for nothing. Could it be that I am a great master, but will I still be short of sacred tools? Okay, okay. Zhou Ziyi accepted it humbly. It was just that afterwards he worshipped Song Wudao again. In that way, he regarded him as a respect for Bodhisattva. Okay, okay, worship me again and it will become a sculpture in the temple. I don't want to be immobile and be confessed all the time. That's too uncomfortable. Zhou Ziyi was amused by Song Wudao unconsciously. Such a big senior speaks so approachable and respectable. By the way, what are your plans after this? Song Wudao asked. Although he temporarily took in Zhou Ziyi, he couldn't let her stay with him all the time. Zhou Ziyi is still young and can't waste time by worshipping. It's only right to see the big world more often. Hearing these words, Zhou Ziyi shook his mind, then thought about it and said, Senior, let me think about it, I don't know what to do now. Thinking, her brows frowned more and more. She can't always trouble seniors, but suddenly she really doesn't know what to do. Song Wudao put Zhou Ziyi aside. Looking at the girl's appearance, he couldn't think of anything for a while. At this time, the two were getting closer and closer to the Tianhe sect, and they were within sight. Subconsciously, Song Wudao unfolded the power of the soul and checked the changes in sect. I hope that there will be no scum like Qian father and son appearing like last time. Song Wudao thought, and then an invisible and extremely concealed wave covered the Tianhe sect's sphere of influence. Since he arrived at Tianguan, the soul has long been transformed, far from comparable. It is easy to find more details. In the depths of the Tianhe sect, there are a lot of powerful Dao Yun auras. That should be the 9 Nether Portal, and the Lock Demon Great Array. It seems that the 2 ancestors who appeared in the Tianhe sect last time are far from all the powerhouses of the Tianhe sect. Song Wudao smiled. It seems that the water in this world is still very deep, and his path of cultivation will be much more interesting. After the 9 Nether Portal, the pitch-black Dao Yun like an abyss gently leaked from it, making Song Wudao very jealous. Are these masters of the Tianhe school in such a bad state? Song Wudao noticed that these powerhouses seemed to be suppressing something, which also caused them to look ugly, with a fading atmosphere of Taoism. Then his attention shifted, and his mind came to another place. The place where sect was discussing. At this time, many elders gathered, seeming to be discussing something. You mean, someone from my Tianhe sect appeared in the most important refining competition for refining masters? Penalty Elder looked suspiciously at Elder who was reporting. Yes, the man replied. Since the last disaster, Tianhe sect is still in the closed state of the mountain gate, but it has always kept a close watch on the news of the outside world, preparing for the opening of the mountain gate again. Impossible. According to the news, this person is not only a refiner Grand Great Master, but also a peerless powerhouse in the Skylight realm, but there is no one in my Tianhe sect who meets this requirement now. Yes, the method of refining artifacts in the door has been declining since 1,000 years ago, and it has disappeared even years ago. There are no people who are willing to study this inheritance, so how can such a person appear? Elder said. Song Wudao rubbed his chin lightly. This news was delivered really fast. It seems that sect is still very capable in detecting news. All right, Penalty Elder said at the meeting place. This matter may be because the senior did not want to reveal his origins, so he took the name to Tianhe sect. It's useless to say more. Now all the news is still very vague. Let's start talking about business. At the meeting place, a gust of wind blew through the hall, and each elder sat up slightly, listening to the punishment elder's words in peace. Jiyu Kaishuan was taken away by the 2 ancestors since the last time the 5 major forces came and retreated, focusing on ascension cultivation base. So everything in these years has been punished by the Master Elder, who presided over it on his behalf. Everyone, the reason why we were forced by the 5 super quality sects last time is because we have no sect. However, our generation is destined to do this, and can only put hope on the younger generations. Therefore, we must be cautious in collecting disciples this time, and we must never let go of a possible genius. The elders were silent. The fact is that their generation and the next generation of outstanding talents have basically determined the way forward, and it is difficult for them to appear astonishing to support the overall situation of the Tianhe sect together with Jiyu Kaishuan. In the past, the people who collected the disciples were in charge of the people below. This time it's me, second elder Tian Shuzheng said. Other elder was a little surprised. He didn't expect the second elder to go out in person in order to collect disciples. Elders' time is precious. They not only work hard to make their own realm grow, but also deal with sect's various mundane tasks. Especially the arrival of the 5 super quality sects last time, which brought huge damage to the Tianhe sect. And sect leader Jiyu Kaishuan is concentrating on cultivation ascension. Therefore, the burden on them has not been cleared over the years. In this way, count me as one. Han Dang Elder said. Count me, Elder said one after another, and then the penalty boss arranged the main task this time. This matter has come to an end. Should the ratio of accepting disciples be held in 3 days? Song Wudao whispered to himself. Suddenly, for some reason, Zhou Ziyi next to him was very surprised and shouted, but his voice was not loud. Accept disciples. Song Wudao turned his face away. What's wrong? Ah, nothing. Don't worry about it. I won't talk about you. Song Wudao felt that Zhou Ziyi hesitated and offered comfort. Senior, you accept disciples. Zhou Ziyi opened and closed her mouth. Senior has helped her enough. What kind of identity he is, he is just a somewhat talented rogue cultivator. Now, except for a little refining ability, there is nothing. And what is the status of Senior? Born in a super-grade sect like the Tianhe sect, Realm is a rare heavenly pass in the world. It hasn't existed in the refining device for 7,000 years, and Realm is unique. How could such a person accept himself as a disciple? This is so obvious, for no reason, there is no need for seniors to do this. Besides, the senior has already helped herself so much, what else she asks for is not wanting face. If this makes senior think that she wants to take the opportunity to fly to the branch and become Phoenix, it would be too bad. She never wanted to do this. Senior is nothing. Except disciples. Seeing Song Wudao's expressionless face, Zhou Ziyi cried out in his heart, it's over, her image in Senior's heart. How could she still have the face to meet Senior again, and then she can use her own meager power to repay her favor, but not to be misunderstood as to be courteous. The gap between the two is too big. According to the worldly view, Zhou Ziyi finds it difficult not to be considered as Gao Panji. But even if she misunderstood, she had to report this favor. Senior, actually I don't really want to. At this time, Song Wudao's voice made her sound in amazement. Sure, he has a relaxed tone. Think about it, it has been hundreds of years since I came into this world. From the very beginning, the talent was low, and he spent more than 10 years. Later, the awakening system spent most of the hundreds of years in cultivation. Then it is considered to be the current situation of hard cultivation. He also experienced several setbacks and ups and downs. But now that he has cultivated to the realm of heaven, according to his cultivation speed, he may be able to transcend this world in a while. It's just that if you really leave like this, if you don't leave anything, it seems that there is still a little unreasonable. It was as if I was a little sorry for the hardship he had suffered here. So accepting disciples is also a good way. This is the trace he left in this world. But other people don't have a system after all, and even the cultivation speed of genius is far behind him. Therefore, it takes at least a few hundred years to receive an apprentice. Only then can it be considered a look, not too bad. Do the math, this time may be just right. And the opportunity is here. Zhou Ziyi has good character and talent. Why doesn't he accept it? And sect is also preparing to hold the apprenticeship ratio. Well, you directly participate in the apprentice reception meeting to be held in Tianhe sect 3 days later. As long as it is passed, I will accept you as a disciple. Song Wudao said that such a request was easy for Zhou Ziyi's talented person. This is a disguised agreement. As for why this is done, it is for Zhou Ziyi to have an identity in sect in the future and to facilitate walking. He can't ask Zhou Ziyi to be the same as him, and come out after being successful at cultivation base. It is unrealistic, and not everyone is willing, and has this patience. Besides, it doesn't make sense to do so. Opposite Song Wudao, Zhou Ziyi was surprised at first and then shocked when he heard what he said. Real, Senior, is this true? To her surprise, Senior did not regard her as a person who climbed the dragon and attached the phoenix and rejected her. Instead, it gave her a chance. Also, what kind of person is Senior and how many ups and downs he has experienced? How could it be restricted by the world's gaze? Misunderstand people like her. What she thinks, Senior must be clear. Of course it's true. I want to lie to you, Song Wudao said with a smile. Feeling the excitement of Dao Zhou Ziyi, Song Wudao was a bit funny. This girl, who is usually quite personal, is so excited about this little thing. No, of course not. Senior never lied to me, Zhou Ziyi replied cheerfully. There was even a flush of red on his face because of his excitement. It's like being drunk. Think about it, she, a rogue cultivator, is still at the bottom of the cultivator world. And Senior, the Grand Great Master, a rare heavenly pass realm refiner in the ages, is one of the people standing at the top of the world. How could Zhou Ziyi not be excited? She hasn't lost her attitude, she is already well trained. Senior, don't worry, you gave me this opportunity, I will definitely work hard. Zhou Ziyi promised loudly. Although she is not very confident to succeed, she will definitely work very hard. Yeah, Song Wudao nodded with a flat smile, he was very satisfied. Immediately, he took Zhou Ziyi into an immortal cave in the Lianbing mountain and set it up. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.